Welcome back, everybody. Here we are with the second of this evening's games, and after a very close series in the upper finals, Avoided are now down here at the lower bracket finals, playing against Mind Your Manners. I'm Big Hungry Phil, and with me still is Lafon. Lafon, what are the nice people got to look forward to?
Well, I mean, they still have us bring the game as you highlighted, so we're looking forward to bringing it to you. I think one of the most interesting things, though, is that Avoided, just as you said, finished a 3-2 match against the current grand finalists in Regen, Phil. So they are waiting for the remainder of this game to see who they're going to face out for the grand finals here in the Prospect Cup. It was initially 2 maps to Regen, then Avoided clawed their way back, tied the series up, but unfortunately, through a little bit of bad luck, got themselves on Lijiang Tower, where they dropped that map 2-0 and are now here in the lower bracket again. We have to highlight that these teams have met each other in the playoffs, Phil, as Mind Your Manners played up in the very first stage of playoffs against Avoided and dropped the series 0-3.
Which is arguably kind of bad luck for Mind Your Manners. Avoided went 6-1 in their group. Mind Your Manners, I believe, finished out 4th in their group overall. Different groups, but still, Avoided only having dropped that one series to Company 8, who'd really done their homework in the form of having Morrow on their side, who knew how to play against Avoided because he plays with Avoided. It was unfortunate that was their first entry through into the upper bracket, and through the lower bracket they've had kind of an interesting run because we have had a couple of forfeits through the lower bracket, so haven't necessarily been tested as hard as they might like.
Certainly. I mean, they did play one match against 303. That was a 3-2. Mind Your Manners taking that one, and they played Cryex in a 3-0 in the previous round of the losers bracket of the lower brackets. So the question, I think, is how we don't have a lot of footage on Mind Your Manners. We don't have a lot of game tape on MYM. And I think in this first map in Busan, which I think, we're going to see Avoided kind of run out with Morrow and Bastion main in first. It's can they play up to the tempo of Avoided? Have they sort of learned from the match that they played against them? Have they kind of evolved to deal with that exceptional composition that Avoided tends to run?
Yeah, they tend to run a let's invent the phrase Chengdu-esque kind of setup where like Baemon Fan1 is the tip of the spear. He gets in, he causes trouble, he puts people up into the air and lines up shots tomorrow or lines up people with Bastion main to track. And if you don't know how to deal with it, it can be a real bugger to deal with.
It's going to be the rollout, though, as the gates unlock. Everyone on the side of Avoided playing what they're known for. Hammond main, the exception, perhaps.
Here from Avoided. I might have lost you there for a second. Apologies. Yeah, double barrier coming out for Mind Your Manners with a couple of slight wrinkles on the DPS. Tracer and the McCree. Interesting here, but could potentially put Bastion main in check if he played well enough. Particularly going to be looking out for Biz here to make the hero play. Baemon Fan1 looking to get the roll through, but pressured out there by the Brig. Instead, going to displace Hammond main and come into Power Driver. Will find a little bit of value there, but gets stunned and gets deleted. Now a man advantage for Mind Your Manners. Unless we see Avoided push back here, looking good for them to get this first cap.
I really like the respect that MYM is providing here on the Bastion. They all play out of LOS of that target, Phil. And this is looking pretty good for them actually early on in this first attack.
Biz with the Pulse Bomb all ready to go, but they have seen the Immortality Field now forced out. In goes the Pulse Bomb. It's only going to get that Immortality Field. And as a trade out, Bastion main will take Pascal out of the fight. Coalescence out from Nolan. Going to be beaming down Starscream, and that is it. First cap's going to come through in favor of Avoided. Great showing from Mind Your Manners, though.
Yeah, I weirdly, I think Mind Your Manners showed too much respect, ironically, to Avoided. They play the Bastion LOS perfectly, Phil, right? They get in, they get that first kill onto Baemon Fan1, but they're unable to really turn that into a fight win, as in the backline, they just, MYM just take too long to execute, and now Avoided. This is the worst place to be if you're playing against them. They're set up, the Bastion is pretty safe, and they're running into a window as well as the minefield. I mean, this is looking really good for Avoided to kind of hold on.
And of course, Baemon Fan1 has been almost pixel perfect with a lot of these minefields. knows exactly where to put them to make it incredibly difficult for people to come through. Moro's just going to get a casual pick off screen, and Bastion Main, with a couple of tentative rockets through the window, thought there might have been somebody there. Did get a little bit of a tickle, but not the pick he was looking for.
I mean, that infra sight from Amaro just to situate themselves well. And I mean, even what happened there?
I have no idea beautiful stick, but even more beautiful immortality field out from Zulex to keep Bastion Main alive. Through that, Moro's ever going to pick again. And a whole bunch of deployables just moved from play, and that's going to be avoided again. Just easily hanging on to this. I was saying hanging on, they did give up the point, but I feel like that's just a misstep. I think maybe they're not playing with the seriousness that we've seen from them previously.
Avoided kind of just let that go through, and I mean, yeah, it's only 22%, but it's a strange look. They had all the tools to hold it, and that's just going to be an extra 22% that would have been ticked over to Avoid. I mean, they're still in very good condition, make no mistake about it. They have the Coalescence here. There's not, I mean, aside from the Gravitic Flux, you know, there's not really much to kind of deny Avoided the point. And we are inching close to that last fight territory. We're going to be at 70% before this next fight starts. And I mean, you're looking for heroic play here now from Starscream, ideally, but with the Widowmaker, Bastion, Crossfire into the Coalescence, it's going to be tough for the Sigma to stay alive in the middle of his ultimate.
Yeah, there's a lot to be done to stop the real impactful part of this damage coming through. Does now have it online, but at 84%, they lose Biz. So they're now in a 5v6. Will equalize that with Nolan going down. Nice positioning there from Starscream with the Gravitic Flux. Kept himself out of LOS as Bastion Main. We might see this flip here, but it's at 97 to 22. So we're looking to see Avoided, if they lose this, only have to win one more fight. Denthead even able to find Hammermain to round that out, and we've got to look for the recap here from Avoided.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, this is last fight territory, and what is available here to kind of hold out? I will say that Gravitic Flux is a lot more effective than perhaps it should have been, as Avoided give up space to MYM. But I mean, now you've got the Dragon Strike, you've got the Pulse Bomb, you're going to have both support ultimates online. It's all, oh god, forcing the recall early. Biz is not going to be in position to kind of keep this fight going.
No, I mean, really wanted a couple of big kickoffs, or at the very least to push out the Immortality field. With that, it's not going to happen. Listen to the Nano Boost come here onto this. Already have the Force Bomb ready to go. Looking for somewhere to jam this ultimate. Immortality field down, stick comes through. Not going to be enough though. Hammermain will survive briefly, but gets taken down. And Mind Your Manners managed to hold here. And they're taking this up towards 70%. That early 22% they got from Avoided giving up the fight might be the difference maker.
It could be. And I mean, that wasn't particularly efficient of a fight from Avoided's perspective. And now, I mean, in the last fight territory, you're looking for heroics as Hammermain was not the Gravitic Flux, but you're walking into a window, you're walking into a supercharger and Phil. I mean, point control is all MYM at this point.
Absolutely, but that's a nice opener. Denthead has that ultimate ready to go. One less threat for Hammermain to get this ultimate off. Find Starscream with the Hyperspheres. A couple of trades though, as Pascal with the window starting to find a couple of pickoffs here. Loden's going to go down. And this is kind of looking pretty bad here for Avoided. Mind Your Manners, they've got the respawns coming in now. They've got the position on point. They've got angles to play from. And it's at 99 to 99. Then to find Hammermain and Baymon Fan1 looking to just separate out the support from the rest of the team and stop them coming in to their aid. There's going to go away eventually, however. And if it has allowed Bastion to get back in here with the ultimate, doing a lot of damage, but not enough. There's the flip, there's the cap, and Mind Your Manners are going to take the first map on Busan.
I'm somewhat surprised at the approach that Avoided took. It was incredibly slow, not very efficient or effective, and ultimately, I think, cost them that round. So I'm interested to see how they react here on the second map. Credit to MYM for taking that space, but that round was so sluggish, so slow that it almost felt that the team fights weren't really about who was getting into the fight. It was not really about who was getting in and finding value. It's more about how one pick kind of waited long enough for the point just to flip over, because especially on Avoided side, they just take so long. I mean, the gates are going to open up here on the second phase as they roll out, but Phil, I mean, Avoided just needs to play faster. This is not the same team we saw up against Regen.
You gotta hope that they've not spent all of their energy in that first round, because this would be a very unfortunate place to fall to avoid a team with a big pedigree here and a lot of talent on the roster. Will take this high ground position at the back of the point, pretty much directly opposite Mind Your Manners, and Moro somehow finds a pick onto Biz here, and Biz is a big initiation tool for Mind Your Manners. Without that, they're just going to opt to hold out for now. Punched back here by Dented, but they're not out of the woods yet, as BameOne able to get in with a power grab, a nice initiation. There's the roll through and the knockdown, splits the team, high ground and low ground now. The rest of Voided, they need to swing back through here and help deal with the fact that the enemy is now a lot closer than they maybe were 20 seconds ago. Hammermane gets the pick onto Biz once again. Second time in a row he's been picked out at the start of the fight. Mind's now out on point, and Avoided just going to rack up that control percentage.
Yeah, this is a cleaner start on this round for Avoided than the last, as they get the first pick off and then keep the minefield. I mean, that was a very fast minefield from BameOne Fan1, who uses the minefield before anyone else really built up to an ultimate, is already up 20% to his next. So certainly very.
A lot of that is Mind Your Manners taking like long, slow rotations
Yeah.
at the point, and BameOne could just like move through all of them and get a huge amount of damage done.
I think the best descriptor of this match so far is slow. It has been incredibly sluggish, as I highlighted earlier. BameOne trying to cause more havoc in the background, Phil, as MYM tries to walk in.
They're walking in, they've got a couple of levels to play with. Biz is going to be looking for an entry frag here with the pulse bomb. Needs to be careful because Zula can easily just deal with that. Well, doesn't need the pulse bomb, finds the melee kill on Tomorrow, and now there's a man advantage. Immortality field out crushingly early there for Zulux. In comes the stick, gonna find Bastion main, Dragon over the top as well, and it's looking pretty good here for a take by Mind Your Manners. Hammermane's gonna find one thing though. Pascal's now out of the fight. Zulix finds Dented, and what was looking like a done deal for Mind Your Manners is turning into a slow knockdown, drag out fight by Avoided to remain in control of the point. Another minefield out from BameOne Fan1. This is it's not even last fight territory. There's no contest happening here.
That was as strange as the first round, but in perhaps the opposite direction.
It says something about the nature of fight when both the casters come out of a round going, that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, all that comes to mind there is that, again, I mean, this time the round is lost, and it was MYM who won the first round, but despite getting the first pick, like in fights where they get the first pick off, MYM don't really engage off of it, and so as a result, they're just kind of caught lacking in. I think is perhaps unwise to underestimate just how fast that you know, they get back to point, how fast the Void get back to point, because you get the first kill off onto the Bastion and you're unable to execute on the rest of it. So as we head to third point here, I mean, there's gonna be another evolution as Dented is gonna go over to the McCree. But yeah, I want Mind Your Manners to be a little bit faster on these fights.
Yeah, and again, look, they're being slow. They're cooped up in this high ground position here. They know exactly where Avoided is, but they're just giving Avoided all the space in the world to take them that defensive position. The point, the last thing you want to do here is let Bastion Maid get set up in a position to do some damage. Grecian comes out. Will get a stun, but not a lot of follow-up on that. And Biz is on the hunt. I'm not sure what he's hunting for, but he's on the hunt, that's for sure.
He needs to get a pick off here, and it's actually Dented comes in clutch with the kill onto Nolan.
Yeah, man, actually, this has been really good for Biz. He's enabled Dented to find a lot of value on that one. Will push out the Immortality field nice and early, and it means that Bastion Maid no longer has that protection. 17% of the point already ticked up for Avoided, but Mind Your Manners looked like they had a game plan there.
Yeah, that was a really good play. Actually, Cal gets a kill with the Sleep Dart, so 5 damage on the Hammermane is all that was needed to close that one out. But I mean, that was much better for Biz. Staying alive, coming in through the back line, and just taking away aggression from both Zulix and Bastion Main. Marl's going to switch over the Tracer now, trying to take a 1v1 with Biz. And at least early on, certainly the more advantage too.
I love that roll through. Splits the team in a position now to drop down with the power driver and get that last little bit of the mines on board ready to go. Kind of drops them as soon as they come online, so might not have done as much to split the team and do some damage as you would like. And Dented with the Peacekeeper starting to rack up a little bit of momentum. Nolan coalescence going to put an end to that. Bastion main maybe over-trusted how healthy he was in that one. Gets burned down by the double shielding of the tanks with the supercharger held in this defensive position by the back of the choke. So hard to dislodge them, so hard to get the damage through, but avoided. They're gradually working their way through. Hammond main for the last couple of picks on that one, and the point flips.
And I mean, this is now just more disruption in the backline for Avoided. Between the Hammond getting a ton of value in the knock off the high ground, as well as more coming in the backline on the Tracer and just putting in work, it ends up being Avoided with the win. But MYM are doing a good job of making these fights really staggered and delayed. They're gonna have, coming back in, they're gonna have the Gravitic Flux, and I mean, if you can get a big one here and close and be able to put the damage throughput, it's gonna be pretty big.
Yeah, it's going to be Hammond main that comes out with their own Gravitic Flux first. Looks to have not done a huge amount, but will at least slow down T coming back to point and opens up things for Bastion main, who finds the pick there onto Denthead. Not so bad for Mind Your Manners just yet. They've got a little time to reset.
This is not, again, not over and done with yet, but with Pascal going down, this is such a delayed fight, and Moro is still causing so much harassment in the backline.
Oh. Well, at the very least, Pear's going to get Moro, but Moro will be in the fight relatively quickly. But where is that even happening? How find Baymon fan one again?
Yeah, I mean, the Hammond has been being focused down pretty effectively, actually, as the Nano Boost is going to be committed onto McCree. Oh, the Electric Cowboy in full swing.
Yeah, man, that's a real unfortunate thing to have to run into, and with the Gravitic Flux of Bastion main up into the line of fire of Denthead. Looking pretty good here for Mind Your Manners to get the recap. He's at 93% with a minefield over the top. Wow, this is a long hold on to that Deadeye. He's only got to find one with it, and it was looking really good for a fight win here. But the minefield and the coalescence coming out from Avoided might be enough here to turn the tide and allow Avoided to hold on here. Biz is back and dealing the damage to Denthead, and that's it. It looked done for Avoided there for a second, but Mind Your Manners get swept off the points. One last pulse bomb from Biz, but he's rocked out of it as well, and that is it. 1-0 for Avoided.
That was one of the strangest first maps I've seen in quite some time, Phil. I mean, the thing that comes to mind the most is tempo, or the lack thereof, from both squads. Both Mind Your Manners and Avoided playing so incredibly slowly. Denhead comes in with the Electric Cowboy, but unfortunately not enough to close the season. I mean, this fight was actually lost by Mind Your Manners, despite getting the first two pickoffs and being in good position. So I think the thing for Mind Your Manners that I want to see in map number 2, as we're going to head there in just a moment, is faster gameplay. Like, mechanically, you guys are fine, but it's just so slow that you're allowing the return of the players you've already taken out to come back. And you're going to lose fights with that. So for Mind Your Manners, it has to be a lot faster.
The tempo of a team fight it's almost a meme for like tier 3 coaches. Like, it's a note you can give to people that sounds coachy but doesn't always mean a lot. But this is genuinely what is going wrong here for Mind Your Manners, is they're just allowing Avoided all the time in the world to come back, and they're not pouncing on the opportunities that they're being given. And you've got to hope that they've got a little more in the tank as we move into our next map. It's going to be our hybrid map for today, which is going to be King's Row. And we've kind of just seen this double shield look for Mind Your Manners. Do we think that King's Row lends itself to that with the DPS we've been seeing from Mind Your Manners?
I think that no, I don't think so. Not with the composition that they've been running on map number 1. We're going to see Aquamarine come in, I believe, for so we are going to come in, and there is going to be a swap for Avoided here. That's for sure. But the question I have here is, like, is MYM going to switch up their compositions? Right. That's the problem I have here, because coming in, I mean, we're almost certainly going to see Junkrat here from Avoided. That's what they've run on pretty much every King's Row we've seen from them in this situation. The other thing too is, to your point about that whole coaching thing about in tier 3 about tempo. It feels like Mind Your Manners has a game plan for what they want to do, but they're waiting for either Biz or Deadhead to get in position to execute on that game plan. That seems to be the starting button. And when they run into problems, right, then they're always waiting for that finish. They're always waiting for that call and say, okay, I've done my job. We can all go in as a team. that's not a good game plan. The game plan should always have backups and second things that you can do while you're waiting for that catalyst to come through. So it's tough to see MYM because I think they have the right idea of what they want to accomplish, and mechanically they're doing fine. It's again that moment of where they need to not wait for that catalyst to come through. They need to make it happen as a team, not just wait for one player. And it is Aquamarine coming in for Bastion main as Moro stepping in as well, I believe. So Avoided going to run the Junkrat almost certainly, and Moro. This is the same look that they had in their previous series today, Phil. And I mean, it was not very effective, but I would say the Junkrat and Moro playing somewhat of the flex character in elsewise within Avoided here on Kings Row.
Yeah, I'd kind of expect them to come in with a Pharah, maybe Nolan going to be playing the Mercy either to boost Moro or Aquamarine. I think we saw them playing in Kings Row the last time through. Wouldn't surprise me particularly. Just to take it back a step there, Lathon, what you were saying about Mind Your Manners needing to get like they're waiting for a specific task to be completed before executing their plan. I think maybe they're just used to playing that against teams who are playing in a more predictable way, and we're once again coming up against the fact that you kind of can't always predict what Avoided are going to do. So you can say, oh, I'm going to go into the back, I'm going to try and take out Nolan, and then we can go because we've got the 5v6. And then it turns out that Nolan is stood underneath the Immortality field next to Bastion main, and there's nothing you can do to win out that fight.
Yeah. I think that the thing I would to that point, it's very one-dimensional, right? There's nothing beyond that first game plan. And right. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like because there's a wrinkle in the plan, like someone sitting next to Bastion main, there's someone always, sort of the plan of attack always has something that is forcing the issue, right? So like Bastion main is being babysat by Zulex, right? Then how do I have to deal with both Zulex and Bastion main? And there's never a question like, all right, pair, you take the front line with Hammond main and you make sure that's a little bit more aggressive, right? There's no secondary look. I think that's what needs to come through here if MYM wants to make a series of this.
So I don't know if I've been on camera the entire time this is happening, but I've got a big smile on my face because Moro's coming out here on the Reaper, which I have not seen in this level of competitive play in quite some time. And I'm curious to know how he thinks this is going to work out for him.
I mean, if you're playing against the Reaper can bully quite a bit if you're getting close. We saw that in the grand finals last season, right? The Reaper may, but it's certainly not the easiest place to look, and that's exactly why it gets halted and executed.
A lot of range over and above what the Reaper can provide coming out from Mind Your Manners, and they've got the 5v6. It's never going to be a better opportunity than right now. They've got to press the advantage. Blizz breaks down the shield, takes a lot of damage from Aquamarine, and we're going to see Moro coming back in on the Symmetra here. And Fear's going to go down, and that's arguably a massive pick there. They're losing the main tank. Even the equalizer there, taking out the off tank, might not be enough here, especially as Nolan is going to take Fizz out of the fight. Aquamarine nearly has a Riptide ready to go. That's the last thing you want here.
We're going to see Symmetra come out from Moro as well as he walks back now. The turrets are in that doorway, so there's just so much spam to go through, and while that was happening, Pear has been separated from his team. Avoided letting back in, but again, as you highlighted, they're going to have to walk through this Riptire here.
Yeah, so you got to hope that Pascal's timing with this Immortality deal is perfect. He's going to start things off with the Amplification Matrix, and that deals a hefty blow to Hammond main. They want final one down to Starscream as well, and actually this has been played really well by Mind Your Manners. Just slow, steady, methodical, getting the picks, and grinding out a 0.8 cap here.
Yeah, the ultimate economy, which was definitely in favor of Avoided, was never executed upon. They never got the Riptire out. Fame One gets on a flank and just gets taken down. And Phil, I mean, it almost feels like the tempo that the tempo that MYM are running at, Avoided has kind of fallen into as well.
I had to look for a second. I was trying to figure out what MYM were doing, like backing away over to spawn, not realizing that Moro was in the back line. anyway. Going to see the rip.
Oh,
Mate,
no.
what a rip tire from Aquamarine! Gets the 4K, but they pull the trigger. Ultimates here. Yes, they gain control of the point, but that was flushing Ultimates down the drain.
The halt Riptire was more than enough to close it out, and I just...
They were celebration ults, LaFon. That's all they were. Celebration ults.
Morrow continues his Mystery Hero selection as he goes to the Doomfist.
He's got the goal here of getting into every hit.
The question I have for Morrow is, what does the Doomfist accomplish? Who are you assassinating here? It's not the sports with his tanks. It's not the McCree, and the Hanzo is an escape. I actually don't know what he's going for here.
I actually have an answer, and it's that the Doomfist is fun to play. Given how heavily he was shut down on that one, he might not be coming back on it, and we're going to see him roll the dice once more. This is great from Mind Your Manners. Pushing in on the back of the rally there, managed to take out Hammond Main and Zulex. And Heart not making too much progress just yet, but they are winning out this fight. And Mind Your Manners, they've got more than 3 minutes on the clock to complete on A here, and they've got ults to make this happen.
Yeah, there's more questions than answers after that fight than anything else, because that was a free fight. The rally was committed, I believe, from Cal.
Yes, it was.
But aside from that, that was a free fight for MYM, and I mean, they're going to have the damage amplification coming into this next fight, which is so difficult to play against it. If anything, Morrow is even in more danger than he was in the last fight, and we saw how easily he was taken down at the end there.
I mean, look, the shield bash, the flashbang, the accretion, everything about this says Doomfist, please go away. And yet here he is, still on it. Akamari is going to have the Riptide here, and we've seen how good those can be for Avoided. Charger coming out first for Hammond Main, but the flux from Starscream might be enough to stymie this offense. Denthead's going to find Nolan, and that's going to be 2 for Denthead here. Akamari still holding on to the tire as we approach the 2-minute mark, and looking to be a cap on B here for Mind Your Manners.
Yeah, and I mean, Morrow gets 1 kill with the Doomfist, but that was after the fight had been lost, so he just goes back on. He's going to switch over to the Widowmaker, or the Ashe, sorry, and then get taken down immediately by Biz. So yeah, it's been a tough day to be a Morrow player today.
Though he could still completely stuff up this this attack coming through, and he starts things off nicely, finds the Concussive Mine onto Biz, and very good there from Mind Your Manners. They know that they can't take that with Biz out of the fight, so they back in.
Yeah, it's a good reset here from Mind Your Manners to recognize that they don't really have a fight here. I would like to see this next fight come in with the combination of the Rally and the Dragon Strike. Use the Dragon Strike to zone off the front line, and then come in with the Rally in the increased health pool. I mean, that's a good start. Not as good.
Heck of a TNT, and the follow-up damage there from Morris pretty good. Gets him just about halfway to a Bob. Lives on the high ground now. Toe to toe with Morrow. Still holding on to the Dragon Strike for now, as in outsplits the team. Will separate Hammond Main away from the rest of his team. Luckily, it actually caught Nolan through with that. But even that healing from Nolan is not enough to keep Hammond Main alive. And now there are ults aplenty on the board for Mind Your Manners. They've got the rally over from Cal, but a little bit of armor still present. Cheeky high ground flick there from Denthead, finds Morrow. Marine's tire doesn't find anything here, and now there are no ults. It's just going to be the coalescence available from Zulex. He's just going to be using this to stall out. No chance of them winning out the team fight with this ultimate. We'll hope to buy some time for the rest of the team to get back in and keep the contest going. Morrow's nearly at this bomb, which can do a lot to at least draw attention in. But the stagger picks are strong here from Mind Your Manners, and that is going to be more or less it here, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the win condition there was you needed the Riptire to get 2 kills.
Anything.
Yeah, and it unfortunately has destroyed it, so avoided. They give up the map, and I mean, Kings Row has been somewhat questionable for avoided in their last 2 matches, and it must be reminded that I mean, this time around, it was in fact MYM who picked Kings Row. So perhaps they saw something in the match against Regen that could be exploited. And I mean, with the completion of the map, you have to think that, hey, maybe there was some truth to that.
Quite possibly, but I do think that it seemed like Avoided not opting into the the best of what they have available to them, opting to run the Orisa Hog here over the Sigma Wrecking Ball or even the Orisa Wrecking Ball, I think there's maybe a bit of a misplay for them because, you know, the elephant in the room for Avoided is that Baemon, Fanwon, and Hammond Main are both Hammond Mains. Like, really, you've got to have one of them on a Wrecking Ball just to find the best possible look for the team, surely.
I mean, the Wrecking Ball has provided a lot of value, right? We saw how much disruption that, well, Baemon was sort of on it, how much disruption that he was coming through with it, but we're getting awfully close to a somewhat meta composition from Avoided, and I'm kind of scared of that. I think the scariest thing Avoided could do is come out on a full mirror composition to the meta and be like, yeah, we're good at this now, we're running it. But they're going to keep the Junkrat, they're going to keep the Wrecking Ball. Ah, the Wrecking Ball makes its appearance here on King's Row.
Well, there we go. They clearly heard us talking the phone. We're going to bring it out to see if they can make anything work with this. Classic low ground defensive positioning there from Mind Your Master. The big roll through from game one just completely knocks them all through a loop. In a position now to get a nice power driver as well, but instead going to go for the knockthrough and send Fizz to the low ground where he gets heavily focused. You'll see him take a bit of a dink there. They flush out the Immortality field early, but Baemon Fanwon with another roll through knocks it for a loop and is in a position just to do this little pendulum oscillate back and forth to find value. That's going to be Denta that pushes back with the McCree, a lot of damage into the head of Nolan, and he's going to come out of this with an ultimate, but now they're a player down and Avoided have the respawn advantage.
Yeah, this is looking a little bit better actually for Avoided now as Hammond Main goes over to the Sigma, so we are seeing now more switches. And I think now if the Wrecking Ball can continue to create space, you could look at the Dragon Blade being a difference maker here as the Amplification Matrix is committed from MYM.
Yeah, so Aquamarine coming through on a flank, but saw that glowing rectangle of death and decided to back through the other way. Baemon's just going to keep playing music in the background for now. He's nearly got it.
There's a Riptire coming out early from Avoided. Oh, goes down too, Phil.
Ah, that's really fortunate. And now they're trying to wait out the Mortality field. Only going to find Pascal here. Is this going to be enough to make the difference? Where's that high noon situated? It's away in the back. Avoided make themselves scarce, and there's no damage on the back of the high noon. But in finding their way away from the high noon, Mora backs into Biz's Dragon Strike. But now they've got possession of the point and they are going to unlock it. It was scrappy and it was messy, but hey, it's Avoided. What do you expect?
It's that was I mean, Bame trying to get up there. Yeah, he's gonna do it. Nice.
Flashbang.
He's okay. The question I have is how do you keep this fight going? Because your double shield with the composition that Avoided is running is actually pretty tough to kind of break into. You're still relying on the tank on the Wrecking Ball to create space, and there's so much that kind of shut it down, right? And Baemon has actually been much more pressured on this against MYM than he was against the Regen, in my opinion, just due to the sheer stuns that are coming through from the defense.
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing to try and run into, as in fact is a supercharger with the entirety of Mind Your Manners healthy and ready to fire into you with that damage boost. Gonna be seeing the Dragon Blade come out. He got the Nano as well, but he just got the big shutdown. And that's gonna be Mind Your Manners holding on at the choke here. This is looking really good for these guys.
That was one of the saddest Dragon Blades I've seen, and that includes the other Nano Blade that Moro tried to do on King's Row in the before he even finished the voice line. Yeah, before he even finished the voice line, Nano nonetheless is taken down. He's absolutely annihilated. And there's that combo gone. And I mean, you've got the Gravitic Flux, you've got the Riptire, but I need to start seeing a little bit more cohesion here from Avoided.
Will to the high noon here, just by rolling away into Bang, but Baemon Fanwon makes himself scarce. Gonna see the Riptire come through here, gets the double. Mora with the dash through, he's gonna round that out with Lulu's Aquamarine, but it's looking like this next contest is gonna happen more or less on the doorstep of Point C.
Certainly will, and the question is, how does Mind Your Manners get into this next fight? Because they don't have what I would consider a healthy economy coming in. Just the Dragon Strike, and yes, while that can be used to section off the map, it's going to come down to vanilla play. And Baemon can really cause havoc here with this Mind.
Oh
No
my,
hit.
every time he just runs into the brig, or he runs into the rock, or he runs into the flashbang and gets just shut down. And now, mind your manners, they swarm back onto the payload and avoided their down 2 members. They can't take this fight and they've got to get out. 2 minutes now on the clock, and it's not looking good for that massive time bank they maybe want.
Now I want to highlight something. There was actually a stun on BameOne as he was activating the minefield. I think he thought he had more HP than he really did. And so the minefield was committed, but he was stunned and taken down. This is really disastrous actually for Avoided, because it feels like the slow pace of Mind Your Manners has actually lulled Avoided into thinking they have more time than they really do. And it seems to kind of be a problem here now for Avoided as they just take too long themselves to kind of execute on their cooldowns. Like, BameOne thought he had a second more than he actually did, and then, you know, he gets punished for it. And Moro thinks he has a second more than he does, and it gets punished for it as well. So, Avoided, they need to be a little bit, they need to just, I think, need to go really and just force the issue here.
Press W that bit harder, you move that a little bit quicker. They are about to get this Dragon Blade Nano Boost combo, but with Hammer Main down already, you've got to assume they don't want in on this fight. And these Nano Boost Dragon Blade combos have so far not been great for Avoided.
I believe Avoided has a grand total of 0 kills with the Nano Blade combo.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's across 2 Nano Blades, so it's a very small sample size, but still.
Yeah, very low confidence on that one. The final is not having a great time. Okay, he's going to find one, and it's a big one because Denthead had that High Noon ready to go, but he gets focused down by the whip shot of Count. Still, they've secured a smite advantage here, but it just dissolves like so much Raccoon cotton candy in water in their grasp, and now they've got 30 seconds to make something happen. Throw.
Oh, and Nolan's gonna get stalled out here too, not even getting a kill. Oh no. Avoided. And I mean, you know, there is going to be a ton of resources available, but 15 seconds, you need to get the point to even execute on it. Moro's going for the long flank through through the underground subway. Who's going to touch? Is it going to be BameOne?
It's got to be Bame. Just got to hope that he gets in without getting stunned. Okay, he's on the cart. Was he close enough there to keep the contest going? Yeah, I think he's just got enough. Here comes the Riptide, it's taking some flak, it's away in the back, and it only finds the Immortality field. But it does push it out for the Gravitic Flux here from Main to hopefully find some value. But even up in the air, Mind Your Manners are finding picks, and this is about as far as that payload is gonna go for Avoided. Looking like Mind Your Manners are gonna be taking a point off of Avoided.
And already showing a much better look here in map number 2. Mind Your Manners taking Avoided out, and I think the most surprising thing to me here, Phil, is that there's an adaptation from Mind Your Manners in that they are showing a style of game that I think is denying what Avoided is good at. It's shutting down the Wrecking Ball. Making sure Moro is not getting into the back line, and it's finding just a ton of space, and as a result, Mind Your Manners, they equalize the series in rather it almost felt at a certain point on Kings Row that was the whole way Kings Row was going to go. That Mind Your Manners just had Kings Row on lock, and Avoided had no way in.
There's a quote that I keep coming back to from Numlocked when he was in British Hurricane around the time that Clockwork Vendetta were wreaking their havoc in Contenders EU. Along the lines of Clockwork Vendetta are very good at dragging you down to their level where they're much better at what they do, or worse to that effect. And so that's typically what we've seen Avoided do. Like, people have to adapt away from the meta to deal with Avoided. And now it looks almost like Mind Your Manners have found a way to make Avoided have to play in the way that Mind Your Manners want them to play. Like, they want these slow, long, fairly wide-ranging fights, and Avoided are having to take them, and Mind Your Manners are looking much better in them.
I think also a big difference here is that in the game against Regen that Avoided had on stream earlier today, a big difference is also the Wrecking Ball, not just getting into the backline, but getting in, out, and doing a ton of damage while Avoided were able to follow up quickly. With how slowly Mind Your Manners has been playing, there's an element of BameOne just getting in quick, but the rest of his team can't get to where what he's trying to accomplish on the Wrecking Ball, right? So you're absolutely correct. This is a game of both teams trying to play their own style, neither saying, all right, we're going to react to what the opposition's kind of doing. and it's working better for Mind Your Manners than it is for Avoided at this point.
That's right, and if Mind Your Manners can keep their head all the way through this, we could be seeing an upset here in the lower bracket. As a reminder, Mind Your Manners already faced Avoided once and found that 3-0 scoreline against them, and they're coming into this as the 4th seed overall from their group compared to Avoided being the number 1 seed in their group. So if Mind Your Manners can keep this up and manage the upset, then I don't really know what that means for Avoided, because they've been taken out by a team that, on paper at least, should be a much easier match than Regen were.
Certainly is. I mean, there has to be a question is like, has the back-to-back games sort of got into Avoided in terms of like mental fatigue? There is an element of that perhaps, but beyond that, at a certain point, you have to kind of execute on the compositions you're running, and Avoided are not doing that. Like the Genji Ana, it's a composition that works in ranked. It makes sense in terms of what it accomplishes, but 1 kill on 3 blades on 3 combos is not a good look. And I mean, you should be building it much more frequently regardless. And then on top of that, the fact that it gets exactly 1 kill is I think, something that has to be looked at here. So Avoided, to your point, I think that there has to be an evolution from Avoided here, as they need to kind of restructure the way they approach this game plan. And it's going to be tedious, I think, but you have to kind of see, is there going to be sort of a look here that's going to be better for them? The first step is going to be the fact they're swapping out 2 players, Bastion Main and Dyslexia coming in. So we're going to see the Bastion Symmetra look, which could just set MYM on tilt. Again, the first half was set 1-1, so Avoided now technically have advantage because they're coming in with a new look that MYM hasn't kind of brought to bear. That still remains to be seen if that's gonna kind of work out.
But we have seen Avoided run this exact lineup on Junkertown already today, where they did take this map off of Regen. Like, this is clearly a look that they've practiced and they think works here. I think the early aggressive hold at spawn doors on the defense with the Bastion Sim was particularly effective, and once they got rolling on their offense, they had a pretty good time with that too. So it's going to be on Mind Your Manners to very quickly find a way to adapt to this.
Right, and this is a very difficult thing to adapt to, right? Because not only is the composition a little bit easier to run here on this map for Avoided, right? You're also fighting against 2 new players. So the style has changed up massively. And the fact that Avoided is able to take map number 1 means that they're going to be an advantage here in Junkertown in the series. And even let's assume that MYM reacts well in map number 4, because we're assuming that they're going to struggle here in map number 3. Even if they react well in map number 4, then you're headed back to Control, where presumably you have to change your style up yet again, where Avoided is kind of used to and expecting what they're going to kind of throw through here. So I think the ball is still in Avoided's court, but with Mind Your Manners, doing so well on King's Row, there certainly has to be an element of what is Avoided going to do early on in Junkertown to stymie that kind of adaptation.
Do you believe we just had a small lobby snafu there with maybe people spectating what they shouldn't be spectating? So we will see this map restarted. Hopefully that's back with you guys fairly soon. And, you've got to assume that both Avoided and Mind Your Manners have a reasonable guess at what's going to be run here. So hopefully that little spectating issue won't have caused anybody too much upset.
It's I believe we have a term for this here in Tier 3. NA lobby host.
Yes, yeah. Joining the long lines of NA problems in Tier 3. Luckily, this is substantially above NA production today here at the Prospect Cup, so I do hope you all at home are enjoying the high quality Overwatch coming your way, care of Nocturnal GG.
Yeah. From NA lobby has to be passed down at some point, right? It's just I guess the question is, do you still NA lobby if you were NA and then move to EU? And then, like, how does that work? I'm curious.
I think it's its own thing, like, just completely irrespective of where you are. So, like, when productions go wrong in the EU, it's NA prod and
sure.
NA lobby. So, I think it's just its own entity.
Time to become a dual citizen so that I can identify as not NA.
Yeah, I mean,
is that how that works?
It's a long, involved process, Lafon, and the best time to start is probably about 2 years ago.
True. Into the game though, Junkertown, it is going to be avoided on offense. Mind your manners on defense. And I wonder. Actually, that joke about mind your manners name is probably not as clever as it was in my head. But we are gonna head into it. The wrecking ball is coming out yet again, and I mean this is not a surprise. This is what we saw from Avoided in the last time we saw them on Junkertown, just not more than an hour ago.
Indeed. A couple of wrinkles in this Bastion teleport strategy the last time we saw them try and implement it. Let's see if they've learned the lesson and can make it that little bit cleaner this time. Nope. Unfortunate for Bastion being caught out there. Looks like Denhead might have had the read there on where that TP was coming through. MYM, they're going to surge forward here. They know they've got the numbers advantage. They know the immortality field is down and that Avoided are ripe to be converted into ult charge.
Pascal's going to have the Amplification Matrix actually online very swiftly,
Wow.
too, only by the Coalescence. Oh no, Babe One. Oh.
Yeah, every time. This comp is designed just to stop that run through happening. Bastion main taken down again. Dyslexia too. This is great stuff from Mind Your Manners.
Yeah, and I mean, I said that this perhaps was going to be the fact that there's a different composition coming in, different players. This would have been difficult for Mind Your Manners, but it still hinges on Fame1 Fan1 surviving the stun fest that is the composition that MYM is running. And if the Wrecking Ball is not creating space, this composition becomes so much more ineffective. The Wrecking Ball is just not having a good time.
No, it's very unfortunate. Well, here's a sight that everyone's used to. Nolan away in the back line, trying to cause trouble, but it means that Zulix was left undefended and Denton's able to get that pick. Nolan is going to have the Coalescence here. He's looking for a pick. Like, he just wants one pick off, and that's his value found, but it's not been quick enough. Biz and Pear able to get a couple. Starscream on the chase, gets Dyslexia, and nearly 2 minutes burnt off the clock here.
This is now starting to become kind of problematic when your composition revolves. You know, this is something we said on Control. If your whole game plan relies on one thing happening, it's way too one-dimensional, and when that got shut down, it becomes a problem. We were talking about MYM at that point, but now it's come back to Avoided side as Fame1 has just not created enough space for his team.
Oh, that predict was amazing there on the flux. Actually lifted up Julius into air and allowed him to get the pick. But it's not down with Bastion main. Bastion main is able to find Biz, and now he's got the configuration tank format online. It's taken them a little while to get this up and running, but now that it's running, Avoided look like they're going to be able to carry this through into point B.
This is going to be the point unlocked now for Avoided, as they finally get through. But how expensive a fight it was, and I mean, in apology to that, MYM Mind Your Manners actually commit just as much. But you cannot be relying on like a 6-pack of ults to be able to unlock points here if you're Avoided, right? That's just not going to fly. And I mean, MYM now has high ground control as well. This is going to be very difficult to get the Bastion in position. This needs to be a spectacular teleport from Dyslexia.
Oh, Fame1 did get the minefield off that time, but yet again, stunned into oblivion and dealt with. Bastion's going to get the equalizer there, and whilst there's this fight going on the high ground, the payload is moving out of the optimum range here for Mind Your Manners to take this fight. Bastion main is able to take the high ground position here and takes the forward position. And now they've taken effectively the defensive run away here from Mind Your Manners, and they're not in a position to come and contest.
I don't think anyone can touch. And now this is going to be a weird place where the defense is actually on the wrong side of the map, and they're actually just going to be giving up this for free.
This is really unfortunate for Mind Your Manners, and a great heads-up play from Avoided, and in particular for Dyslexia, just sending Bastion main up ahead into that high ground position.
Yeah, this is the thing that kind of has unlocked the second point for Dyslexia, or for Avoided rather, multiple times. Oh, this teleport is denied though.
Yeah. Well, no, they have actually managed to get Fan1 on the Reinhardt up here to protect the setup of the TP. Interesting.
Yeah, so to that point though, that the teleport has been so instrumental in getting Bastion main in position. Fame1 has switched over to the Reinhardt because the Wrecking Ball has just been extremely ineffective.
Dragon's only going to find one, but it does find the main damage output here from Avoided. Payload's going to be going through. TP, I think, was intended there to bring Fame1 back to the rest of the team, but just got ignored. He wants to go in for the flank here. Won't find the connect with the charge, and likely to be pressured into the spawn.
Yeah, and now, I mean, we're gonna see a staggered Reinhardt.
Yeah.
He's taken out. You can see there's a little bit of discomfort on the Reinhardt here from BameOne. He's not playing it to the same efficiency that he was the Wrecking Ball. And I mean, now you're into a Gravitic Flux. It's going to be an issue. Dyslexia could perhaps execute on this sort of wall flux combo we saw from Avoided in the last couple of maps, but I mean, this is still a tough ask as the high noon window comes through.
Yeah, I mean, I did wonder if we were going to see the wall used specifically for that. Very nearly popping a toe over the line there for Avoided into the waiting arms of the high noon, but they will survive that. Bastion main pops the ult with a fraction of the HP you might want for that particular action. Goes down very quickly, not finding any value with it. Dyslexia is going to get trapped out here, but has the teleporters to get themselves back into safety, but what is even going on in this fight with them?
I mean, BameOne commits the Earth Shatter into a shield. You know, I mean, that Orisa shield really learned its lesson, I hope, after being hammered down. We're going to see another switch.
Back onto the double shield here.
Yeah.
I mean, BameOne Fan 1, I just don't think he's anywhere near as comfortable on these tanks as he is on the regular.
Oh, and Nolan gets taken out. This is perhaps the only window of opportunity. Speaking of, the window is going to be committed.
Yeah, and as you predicted, the wall comes out to allow Hammer Main to pull that off without taking too much damage. But
He still got stunned.
this is really unfortunate. Bastion Main has the high ground now and deals with Starscream. There's a Cascal go down as well as Bastion Main on the high ground is looking for targets, but he just puts himself in the line of fire of a wealth of damage and gets dealt with.
Symmetra Barrier has 5,000 HP, right? And despite that, Hammond Main has actually gotten stunned out of his Gravitic Flux multiple times while that's up. So it's not a case of losing the barrier, it's a case of walking on the wrong side of it and getting stunned out. So a frustrating thing, like that combo should be getting at least a kill or two. And I mean, Avoided is going to make this fight work, but they're now down below a minute, and the only thing they have is the Coalescence into a Rally Dragon Strike. And I have to think that MYM, as long as they don't take a suboptimal fight, should have really the advantage.
Just getting that right over point, and here a few ticks of damage to move there. Blizz takes a bit of a dink there as well. Now the high moves back, dropping their head. Finds some body damage, won't find the picks it was hoping for. Bastion Main is waiting for the stairs. It's not going to happen. We're down below 30 seconds now before they let them push through.
Cancelled again. Hammond Main used it.
That's really fortunate. He's going to go have a little bit of work on getting those off, because so far it's been a real letdown here. Bastion Main with the ult also not finding a huge amount of value here. They've cleared some space over the payload, but it's still being contested. This is going to be an overtime cap, if indeed it happens at all, for Avoided.
Yeah, we're gonna need to see. I mean, this is still favoring Avoided as they have the high ground technically, as well as better health pools. But man, this has been a tough one.
Yes, Charge is going to be the difference maker here, because those shields are not going to stand up to that level of punishment. The wall there as well. Looks come through. Dyslexia saved there by the Immortality field. Numbers advantage now for Avoided. Mind your manners have a couple of chances here at getting the recontest, but those Symmetra turrets are going to stuff that up. And we will see the complete here, but deep into the bowels of overtime, LaFon.
Certainly was. And I mean, if that fight had gone on for a moment longer, there may have very well been a recontest available to Mind Your Manners. Avoided comes in, and it's actually the Symmetra who was the biggest difference maker there, right? The high charge Symmetra beam onto the shields with the supercharger. Those things are going to go down very quickly. They're going to ramp up. And as a result, it's just the tank's going to burn down. So it was a last-ditch effort, really, from Avoided. They weren't in a position that I think would have been... They were moments away from losing that, in my opinion. But ultimately, it's just their supercharger comes online a moment quicker. And so, in fact, the reason why they were able to close out the series, or close out the map. It's not out of the woods yet, though, because that's a full cap, and it took them a very long time to get there. If MYM can have a decent offense, there is still a very good chance that Avoided walks away from Junkertown with a loss.
Quite possibly, which would put us at match point with Avoided potentially going out of the tournament. altogether. I'm expecting we're going to see this this meat grinder defense here, choke with the Bastion and the Sim just to try and burn as much time as possible off the clock. Let's see if Mind Your Manners have done the research, if they know that this is what's coming their way.
And I mean, if they watch the game against Regen, then it's going to be tough to not notice this as the teleport comes in. The Bastion is setting up. The gate's open. No one's there.
Big halt, won't find the kill. Bastion remains still alive and causing trouble. Has the TP to get out of danger if he needs to be. Looking to maybe see a rotation there from Dented on McCree. You can just see on the left-hand side of the screen. And just like last time, Dyslexia is the first one to go down here. TP, I think, is also down. And as the rotation comes through from Mind Your Manners, we're going to see Avoided increasingly pushing. He's able to find one. Really, we need a couple here to start the defense really going solidly again. And Viz is able to hide behind the shield and pepper in damage. He's a very real threat on this hand zone. He's nearly got his Dragon Strike.
Yeah, we're going to see Bastion Main, who already is his ultimate, by the way.
Wow.
But he is not in the fight while this window is out, and they're going to miss that damage throughput.
Well, we're going to see the configuration tank thrown in a couple of shots from those babies, and that's you out of the fight. But he's too far away. He can't find the lines in. In the meantime, Dented just runs through the rest of the team and takes them offline. Dragon's going to come out, and it catches Dyslexia as well. This has been great from Mind Your Manners.
That is a spectacular ultimate. The Dragon Strike just to deal with the Symmetra. I can fully respect that. But into this next fight, I mean, you're breaking through the toughest part of the choke, I think, for MYM's part. And I mean, you're looking at this. The Dyslexia is going to have his ult online in a moment, as they're forced to use the Amplification Matrix to walk out of spawn here, actually.
Yeah, we'll at least buy some space, but they've got to be careful because I saw Denhead walking around the back there with the High Noon ready to go. Could really stop this coming through in a big way or avoid it. Dyslexia tries to go toe-to-toe there with Blizz, but doesn't work out. There's the High Noon. He went for even more around than anybody was expecting. And the High Noon, converted to the Higher Noon with the Grippeting Flux, is likely to see this pushing to...
Bastion Main cheekily sitting in the corner there on the teleporter saying, "Did it come in? Let's fight." But the McCree wisely walks away as they capture the point, and a relatively painless push, all things considered here from Mind Your Manners. And I mean, if they can deny this high ground for the Bastion, this could be problematic.
Have the high ground, Dragon Strike's going to come out, and once again, it does most of the damage to deal with Dyslexia. He's going to find one here, but he needs another couple. Trades out with Viz for Rocket, and this is looking like Avoided might just have the numbers advantage here. Starscream's going to get pressured out, but he's got a lot of support there. Keeps him nice and healthy. He's ready to start pushing through on the offense. Turns to deal with the Baptiste, combos with the hold, finds the pick with the kinetic spheres, and that is going to be it. Not looking good for Avoided here.
And they're not going to be able to reset on the high ground, so this Bastion is now going to be incredibly weak in terms of trying to get across. You can see Biz already setting up, trying to prevent the retake. And he spots them out, so they know where they're coming from.
They've got to know that he's not got the Dragon at least, so they can just move their way forward without the risk of that being too big a problem for them. Hammermane's going to have the Flux here, which could be the difference maker, but he's not doing well on his averages for Flux is completed without being stunned out of them and Avoided already a player down. And Hammermane is honestly just trapped between a rock and several different kinds of hard plays right now. There's the Flux out, waits for it to come through, puts himself in the line of fire of the High Noon from Dented, and Hammermane goes down. Numbers now here for Mind Your Manners. Nolan down to Dented once again. This guy has been an absolute monster on Junkertown.
Yeah, he has 4 minutes now remaining as they head to third phase. And I mean, the second phase is again a story of the Bastion. If the Bastion gets set up properly, then it's very difficult to push against. But if they can't, then it's basically a free point. And MYM, oh, okay.
Okay.
We're seeing a Bastion on both sides.
I mean, look, this is frighteningly close to being a pure comp. A couple of changes and we'd have it, and I don't know that I want to live in that world. Bomb. Biz is going to have this Dragon Strike on board in a matter of seconds.
Bastion.
He'll find Bastion made a dent just mows him down with the amplification matrix. Even though Zulex had their own here, the high ground didn't work out for them. And this is phenomenal from Mind Your Manners.
I mean, the difference is that Den had a shield, so he had a little bit longer to shoot at. And, I mean, this is not good. There's one pick off here onto Biz, but...
Where are they? Where's the recontest?
Wrecking
They're
Ball.
nowhere near. Oh, it's just going to be Baemon Fan 1 coming in on the Wrecking Ball. Biz away behind them, throws the Dragon in, forces them mostly off the cart. And now it's going to be down to... It's not even down to Bastion, he just gets run over by Biz. 3 minutes 47 seconds to complete your time bank on Junkertown is just stupendous.
That is a monumental time bank there from Mind Your Manners, and I mean, what an I don't want to say inspired because that may be a little bit more effervescent than I'm willing to be about the Bastion pick from Dead, but certainly what an effective pick. There we go.
It slaps of anything you can do, I can do better from Mind Your Manners. And like, who was predicting at the start here that Mind Your Manners were going to be going toe to toe with Avoided like this?
Put your hands down if you raise them, because you certainly didn't. To our audience out there, I mean, the 0-3 was there in the first round of the playoffs, right? And
yeah,
there is still room here for Avoided to take this map, but it has become a very uphill battle, and Mind Your Manners has become, I think, at times a lot more creative with their approach to dealing with the Bastion. And where against Regen, Avoided was doing a really good job of cycling the Bastion through the teleporter, there's no longer that aggression from the Wrecking Ball to draw away focus from that combo, right? So it has been very easy for Mind Your Manners to kind of focus down the Bastion, and I think that has been the real difference. A very defensive hold, however, for Mind Your Manners. They're willing to give up all this space for this card.
Well, I think they know that this is the strongest natural choke probably in the entirety of Junkertown.
Yeah.
So, you know, taking the defensive high ground here just makes a whole world of sense. And
I mean, they're playing for last fight here. They're playing for last fight, right? That's what it is. You're saying, okay, we're gonna get to overtime, we're gonna win that one fight, and that's where we're gonna give ourselves 3.5 minutes to kind of work.
Nice pile driver in, can't find the final bullets in the face of Biz. And they're going to see him going for another run through here. He's careful again. Stuns pretty much designed to do just that. Dolphin finds the value, finds the power driver, but again, it's not enough to secure the kill. He's not doing the damage he needs to. Now back on board with Hammond Main, gets the accretion out of the Kinetic Grasp, so didn't get the shields on the back of that. Payload has now moved past the high ground here. Kills are now starting to come through for Mind Your Manners. But Dyslexia goes down, and we're going to be in overtime. This is incredibly difficult for Avoided right now.
There's Pascal's Amplification Matrix and Phil. That's Curtis.
No sense even calling any more of this fight. That is it. Dunsville. Population avoided.
And I mean, now the win condition is in 3 minutes 47 seconds. Make it halfway through the first point of Junkertown. This is a tall order for Avoided. Make no mistake about it. Mind Your Manners are honestly very close to putting themselves at match point against all expectations.
Yeah, it's, you know, we've done the bit about who predicted this, and I feel like a large part of the success of Mind Your Manners is that they're just doing so much to stop Baemon Fan 1 getting anything done. It's like what we were saying about Company 8 finding a way just to shut down Yezen when Yezen was on the roster. They've just identified that, oh, like, they just need the Wrecking Ball to cause chaos. If we stop him dead, we win.
And I think the thing that's most impressive to me, especially after the first map, is we have a tendency as casters to kind of highlight one or two people and say, okay, this is doing really well, so that's why this team is performing. I actually don't see anyone on Mind Your Manners who's not performing at a high level, right? And as a result, we're focusing on BAME1 being sort of that catalyst for commentary, but it really is a team effort from Mind Your Manners shutting down the Wrecking Ball and sort of breaking the composition that the entire composition's point here. Mind Your Manners a good understanding of how to work around this.
Well, seems like Avoided not going for that grind to hold they had initially. just opting for this same far back hold that Mind Your Manners were taking. But it means if they lose this fight, that is it. Over and done. We go to match point for Mind Your Manners. Okay, Fan 1 once again looking for a run through here using that third person mode to scout out the position. Over the top with a reposition here and not engaging there. This has been a really slow engage for Avoided.
So this is really actually a big problem now for Avoided. Look at the health pool of Starscream. This goes down. This is a little bit of a breather, but look at the difference in off-tank's health pool here. Starscream very healthy. Bane1 super weak. I think this has been kind of a tale of this map so far.
Avoided giving up some more space there, but Mind Your Manners, I think, realize they're not quite ready to do this. Fizz is making an adaptation over to the Pharah and Cal onto the Mercy. This could be even harder for Avoided to deal with.
It's, I mean, you're looking for some sort of damage mitigation, and it's not there. They spy out the Bastion here as well. Oh, and they're so weak.
Yeah, looking at the TP there, bringing back into somewhat of a more safe position. That's
Fan 1 down.
Fan 1 down. It's a 5v6. Fizz is uncontested in the back. He's taking a bit of flak. Here's the high noon from Denthead. Even just one here is great. Can't find it. Throws in the flash, looking to secure the pick there. Pascal's going to go down to Bastion, and the Bastion main themselves taken out. But with the Coalescence online and the high damage from Dyslexia, they've managed to eke out a hold here against all odds.
It's not clean though. Their one saving grace is that Pair actually, instead of just going to the cart and dying, walks back to the mega health pack instead. But I mean, look how close the cart is to the finish line. It is literally resting on that golden box of victory. And
Back a little ways.
yeah, this is the barrage is going to be online here in a second. This is the fight I think that Mind Your Manners are playing for. They're going to have 6 ultimates here. And an ult dump to just push people off the cart is certainly within the cards.
Zulek's away in the back with the amplification matrix. Will, at the very least, force a little bit of space here, but this is really just time that's needed for these last few ticks of ults to come on board. There's Blizz away in the back, the wall's out from Dyslexia, and Bastion main finds Biz with a bit of help there from the Supercharger, which is a huge hit for at least delaying this into the next fight. Brings Biz back in, and now they've got to keep their heads on a swivel. There's the barrage through the amplification matrix. Pascal with a boost of his own finds Zulex, and this has got to be the end of the fight. 3.5 minutes left to go. Bastion main with an ult here. Nolan's gonna find Pascal, but Denthead is away in the back with the high noon. Have they tracked where he is? Do they know that this is the next big threat?
30 seconds left on the clock though, Phil. And it's gonna come down to, if no one has found out where Denthead is, if he can get that high noon in, that's the map. But if it gets denied, there's still an opportunity here for Avoided to close out this map and take the lead in the series. It all comes down to, can this Deadeye, can this McCree find value in this last fight? 7 seconds on the clock here, Phil. It all starts now.
There is the potential here from a hero play from Hammerman with the defense matrix, but he can't track everybody. They now know where Denthead is, but he's taken Bastion main down, and there's nowhere to run. Dyslexia down, Nolan down, and that is it. Nothing anybody can do at this point. Surely too many people available for Mind Your Manners. A valiant defense. It took them down into overtime with a 3-minute 40-second time bank to start with, but that's going to be Mind Your Manners taking us to 2-1 and putting themselves at match point.
Avoided in their next review needs to put a sticker on that staircase on the flank, because it's been multiple times now that a McCree has come in and gotten a Deadeye kill.
Oh. Yeah, it's exactly the same position. Like, it's exactly the same play. The only thing he did differently was he didn't kill the Bastion first. I think he's going to go around and kill him second.
And I mean, match point to Mind Your Manners.
Yeah.
As we're heading into Assault. And Mind Your Manners seems to have found the answers that they were looking for. Avoided just in shambles after 3 maps. I mean, Control went to them, but Mind Your Manners has been on the front foot ever since.
I think this is where you've got to be wishing that your roster was maybe a little bit deeper if you're Avoided, because the Wrecking Ball is being shut down so frequently that it's basically never getting started. Like you'd like to be able to reach back into your roster and bring out, a Zarya one trick or a Reinhardt one trick, or just anybody with another look here, like another tool they can build this around.
I mean, they're looking for answers. I don't know that I don't know that the answer is like a ride one trick or something like that. I think it's because we've seen Avoided play well up against, sort of the compositions that have been brought to bear. I think for the first time, though, what's happening here, and since Company 8 has done it, I think that's kind of what's been sort of the downfall of Avoided against Regen, against Mind Your Manners so far, is that Mind Your Manners, is that teams are starting to, like, rather than be afraid of these players on their best heroes, have decided to show up aggressively against, sort of these just take 1 point out of that composition and watch as it sort of falls apart. So credit to Mind Your Manners for doing well in that last fight, though.
Completely. We are going to throw to a short break, guys, while we give our players a chance to catch their breath before we come into our next map. But don't go too far because we will be right back. Welcome back, everybody, and this still could be the last match here. We are coming into our assault map for today, which will be Temple of Anubis, Avoided, and Mind Your Manners, still going at it for that grand final spot. And myself, Big Hungry Phil, and LaFon still here to bring you the action. And LaFon, coming into this, worth noting, a couple of substitutions on the side of Avoided.
Certainly. It is going to be Aquamarine and Moro coming back in after Dyslexia and Bastion were on the previous matchup. And so, Phil, expectations are Junkrat. This is going to be a character that is played. Both Aquamarine and Moro actually are Junkrat specialists.
Oh.
Shall we put it that way?
Yeah, I think that's fair. When we saw Moro on Company 8, that was the role he was playing to try and shut down Avoided, and can't argue it didn't work on this map particularly.
Certainly. And I think, it is going to be defense for Avoided first, so they will be in blue. You may want to get a quick mental adjustment there, as it is going to be Mind Your Manners in red. But Phil, please lead us to this point here. How did we get to this point where Mind Your Manners are in the lead in a series, hey, the last time Avoided and Mind Your Manners met, it was in the playoffs in the first round, and Avoided got the 3-0.
They did, and coming into this one, it looked like they'd set themselves up for that. They took the early lead on Busan, taking that 2-1, and in that map, Mind Your Manners were looking slow to engage and slow to adapt, but in every map since, Mind Your Manners have been setting the tempo, they've been making the plays, they've been forcing Avoided to slow down, and they've been doing a great job of shutting down BaneOne Fanrun, which is how they've got themselves to match point. If they round this out on Anubis, this is them going up to the grand finals tomorrow.
Certainly is, and I think in an upset by all metrics, really. And I think here Avoided is going to need to start to work on getting BaneOne Fanrun just more support, keeping them alive into the plethora of stuns that are available. Moro playing the Pharah now. Interesting.
Yeah, and already finding some value there. Pascal out of the fight from now. Interesting, we're seeing Blizz on the Genji, which is the first time we've seen that. And, Moro being heavily pressured here. And to back away from that Macon Blast, rely on the Mercy to bring him back up. Looks like we will hold on to the... Well, maybe we won't, because Aquamarine is out of the fight. The Reds will come through for him, though, but they've given up some space. They've allowed Mind Your Manners to get that little bit closer. Biz is going to go down to Hammer Main, though, so it's a 5v5 fight. Respawn advantage for Mind Your Manners. If they can grind this out that little bit longer, they might get an early cap.
The one thing to note here is that BaneOne is actually faster than Biz in the reset because of how quickly Hammer can get back. And with everyone being caught up here in the high ground, they're actually going to be able to take spam damage from the Junker on the entryway, so he will have Riptire very shortly. And there is not really much to contest it aside from just sheer fragging power on Mind Your Manners side. So their Riptire is online here.
Did get a little bit of a disrupt there from Moro through the Concussive Blast and split the team. Akko only gets one there with the Riptire. Now we're down to even team numbers here, but Avoided starting to frag back here. They've been pressured quite heavily in this, but it looks like they are just about going to be able to grind out a win on this.
And they're still going for the play, and they're committing to this are Mind Your Manners. And there's an Nano.
Nano's boosted Wrecking Ball, another thing we see all that often. Will allow him to get that minefield a little bit quicker. Rolls through the Sigma, who cannot absorb the Wrecking Ball with his kinetic grasp. And finally a solid hold.
This feels more like the Control Mind Your Manners than it does the Escort and Hybrid Mind Your Manners, right? This is a very slow way of playing, dare I say, unfocused style of attack, in the sense that, there's no clean engage from Mind Your Manners, and as a result, it's Avoided who just thrive in the chaos. Moro getting a ton of value with the Pharah here, actually, both in damage and in disruption. He's going to come here around the flank with the barrage.
Yeah, they know Tom. They don't know chat. They don't know he's here on the side. Just to duck away from the high noon. We'll also use this opening to throw in the nano boosted Dragon Blade, and Biz is able to get 2. Dent Head takes Moro down. And that's the cap for Mind Your Manners. Took him a couple of goes, but successful once they had their moments.
And regardless, it's still a very expensive fight for Mind Your Manners, so this is almost certainly not going to be a double cap snowball. as the only thing they have here available is the Gravitic Flux. And I would not be surprised to see Biz actually change to something else. You can see Morrow coming out on the Mei. And Mei Junkrat is very difficult to push into here, so we are going to see... Okay. We are back to the composition that is designed to shut down BAME 1, Fan 1. Start the fight at a 5v6, or 6v5 in Mind Your Manners case, and then try and pressure the point out afterwards. I think that's probably what sort of Mind Your Manners is kind of defaulting to here at this point.
I think we're looking at a couple of dry pushes here from Mind Your Manor, though. There's the Minefield, there's the Gravitic Flux. We're going to have that Riptire online soon. Like, they're so difficult to fight through those ults in particular. They're so defensively favored that I think this is just going to be a case of gathering ult charge. Although, Biz with a pick there takes Aquamarine down. There's the Minefield. Wall splits them out, but out comes the Gravitic Flux from Hammermay, slams them down into the Immortality field. BAME 1 Fan 1 goes for the run through to make them that little more vulnerable. And I don't know what Starscream was going for with that one. Didn't get anybody in the Flux, but Denthead will find Aquamarine. So they are in this fight, and now they're in it in a big way. They've got their foot firmly on the point. BAME 1 Fan 1 just gets stunned and focused, and now Deadhead has the High Noon ready to go. Sees the Junkrat Aquamarine coming on the far side, who now has that Riptire online and ready to go. But the High Noon fends them off the point, and that was a very quick cap in a fight that Mind Your Manners looks like they shouldn't have won.
Is really Pear doing a great job on the Orisa. The halt denies BAME 1 on the entry. He goes for the Minefield, which if he had landed in the choke point there through Dark, we're looking at a completely different fight, because in the Gravitic Flux brings people up, they get slammed, or the pile driver rather slams them down into the Minefield, and all of a sudden you're looking at a much different fight. But the halt denies the Minefield's entry, so it gets put on the half of the point where there was never going to be a fight taken by Mind Your Manners. So you just remove that from the point, and I got to give credit to Pear. The Orisa has done a spectacular job of really just making the Wrecking Ball's life hideously miserable. And obviously the stuns are not great, but the halt, just such a good ability.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit, I think, in the previous round about how if everything is going swimmingly, the tanks tend not to get a lot of praise because they're the ones enabling rather than the ones doing. But you're right, you know, Pear and Starscream between them have been absolutely phenomenal. They've been so consistent. They've been getting the picks they need to pick. They've been getting the abilities off they need to get off. Starscream, I think, a number of times has interrupted Hammermane in the middle of the Flux with the accretion, which is exactly what you want. A 10-second cooldown ability for an ultimate is a great trade.
It certainly is. And I think one thing we have to kind of address is that the Gravitic Flux actually builds really quickly, but we have not been seeing a ton of them used on Avoided's side. So, and the ones that do get used tend to be shut down as well. So there's something to be highlighted there. Kind of made a little perhaps uncomfortable on the Sigma, and it's been a bit of a difference maker. Nolan heading to the flank, and Biz on the Echo. So this is also a different look. This aerial play though is going to be very difficult for Junkrat to do anything, and in this case Nolan as well.
Yeah, Nolan very comfortable on the flank there, but Viz clearly very comfortable in the skies as he rains down death upon him. We'll get the equalizer pick though, and that's big because Denthead has been such a major part of this composition in shutting down BAME 1 Fan 1. He's now not there with the flash to add his stun into the mix, and Aquamarine is rapidly closing in on a Riptire here. Takes a bit of flak on his way through the point, but I think Nolan back with him to keep him alive through this. This Riptire could really crack things wide open.
Yeah, and Morrow is actually in as well. So, oh, there's a Doomfist now from Denthead. This is unexpected.
Yeah, that's rough. And they might not need ults here, as Morrow's able to deal with Viz as well. So now no DPS on the table. Aquamarine's going to go down, but Nolan's still in the fight. And Morrow is looking for value here. He will get the dash through. Looks like he won't get many kills to his name, but he should come out of this with the ultimate ready for that point. Snowball.
Yeah,
nice.
If you're Mind Your Manners, you're actually kind of upset with how that fight came out. You wanted that Riptire to be committed because, or you wanted at least the Riptire or the Dragon Blade to be committed in that fight. If you get the damage ultimate out, that's one fewer thing you have to worry about on the Snowball here. And now we're actually going to see Biz go over to the Torbjorn, try and prevent that flank from coming through. But you're looking at an absolute treasure chest here now for the offense. The Riptire to open things up. And
how do you defend against all of this? You've got Wow, that's unfortunate. That's Mora going to be going down the second he pops the ult, but the rest of Avoided have made it happen with the Ultimates. I don't see a recontest coming through. It was a clean team wipe, and that is a 4-minute 30-second time bank here for Mind Your Manners. But Lafon, once more, Moro with the blade just decimated.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be particularly pleased with his performance on the Genji. He keeps going back to it, but it has not done well for him so far today. I think we found the one character that he's struggled on. To the highlight there on that point, I mean, you're running into 6 ultimates. It's tough to kind of do anything, and the immortality field actually never gets value because the the gravitic flux lifts everyone out of it, and then the Riptire kills them before they can get dropped down back into it. So it's a tough place to be, and that's a double cap snowball. I mean, you needed to damage ultimate to have been used on point A, and the fact that Mind Your Manners falls without really a contest there means that that wasn't able to happen. So now back to the drawing board if you're the offense, and it wasn't necessarily, I would say, difficult for them to capture point A, but it certainly wasn't easy either. And I think that it needs to be a lot more cleaner on the engage here from Mind Your Manners if they want to put the game away here and not have to go to a 5th map.
And, you know, again, they're in defender side spawn, but they're looking like they're going to be running kind of halfway between a fusion dive and the runaway dive with the... I mean, maybe it's his own thing. Maybe it doesn't need to be named after 2 other things.
It's like Snows.
No, I refuse to talk about Snows.
On the high ground, Bane coming in. Bane 1 fan 1 coming in with the Wrecking Ball. Pile Driver gets very healthy there with the adaptive shielding.
Yeah, and a fifth of the way back to fifth of the way to Minefield as well. Here's Biz on the Sombra, getting a spray down onto Aquamarine, but with the support there from Nolan, he's not going to be able to burst to do that. Still, 1/5 of the way to the EMP. Looking for the hack, gets the Mercy, she's an easy target. Down she goes, and out comes the TP. Big pick for Mind Your Manners.
Yeah, Denhead is going to be so very low, but he gets away while killing Hammond Mate.
This just goes from worse to worse for Bane1 Fan 1, because not only have you now had all the stuns in play, you've now got the hack permanently pressuring you down, and this has been just a beautiful point 8 cap for Mind Your Manners.
Anything? There's one little quibble I have. It was too clean. They're not going to have any ults for the snowball. This is going to take some time. They're close to the nano boost, but it's not close enough. You still have to waste. You're going to have to commit about, I'm going to say about 30 seconds before you can really take this fight here if you're Mind Your Manners. So when they cap, if they cap, it's going to be in overtime. We're going to see Moro go over to the Reaper here as Pear switches to the Wrecking Ball. So clearly some changes going in. It's going to try and deny the Roadhog.
Okay, well that's piece number 1. In fact, that's all the pieces that they need. We've got the Nano Boost, we've got the EMP, we've got the Dragon Blade, but Pascal gets picked. Now they've got to back out. They've got to keep themselves nice and healthy. They can't afford another stagger like that. They've got to get out of the way.
The worst thing that happened there is that they gave the kill to Aquamarine, who's going to have the Riptire here. That Riptire can shut down the Dragon Blade if it comes through, right? So you need to deny this Riptire. It's not going to be denied. Now the question is, can you survive it? Because with the EMP Nano Blade, that's the win condition, so long as you can dodge the burst damage of Aquamarine.
But Avoided have now got up that piece. There's no immortality field to worry about, and they've got an early pick. Moro's down. Blizz is on point, looking for the moment to pull the ripcord on the EMP. Sees the Riptide coming out, and it's just going to be cooked away in the back. There's the EMP, but it won't get the tire, and Aquamarine pops it and takes Dented out of the fight. That was their win condition. That's what they needed, and it's gone. Out comes the flux from Hammond Main, and this is going to be it. No point B cap here for Mind Your Manners. Even the grab thrown in is not going to be enough.
And unfortunately for Mind Your Manners, the win condition that they needed is exactly the one that was denied. The Riptire comes in clutch. It bursts through the Nano Boost, and we are looking at 4.5 minutes hold here on point A. A very, very tall order.
It's often kind of anticlimactic to come to a map like this and it come down to the defending team winning over the attacking team. Like, you want to see the attacking team gain the point to get the marker they need to get over the finish line to win the series. And Mind Your Manners have the potential to do the slightly less impressive defensive hold here, but 4 minutes 30 seconds would mean actually it's an incredibly impressive hold, because that is a stupendous amount of time to have to hold on to point A for.
It is, and we saw how quickly, I mean, Avoided opened the point up on literally their first push, right? There was no contest for 4.A, and worse than that is that all 6 ultimates were built up by the time they got to second, right? So if a mirror fight is going to happen here, you're looking at this and saying Avoided is just going to go to map 5 at this point, and you know, take the 2-2, go to that 5th map, and put it all on the line here on Control. So, I mean, the way things are looking right now, if you mind your manners, it's all going to come down to this first push. Can you deny it? Can you start building your resources up and deny Avoided sort of those ultimates that they kind of need to build to get the double cap through? Sleep Dart committed.
We're still looking for an early spray down here as well. Wants as much charge as possible. 16%, not bad for your first run through, but it's got to be even quicker than that for that to be really in on. They want that one once more will roll down, roll through, and find Pascal. Pascal being so heavily pressured. Will go down here, but in the meantime, we see 2 taken off the field for Avoided, but they punch back into now a level playing field for both teams. And we've still got 4 minutes here. Avoided can play this super slow defense.
They can. I will say the characters that are remaining are the tanks plus Cal on the Moira. So there is a large amount of sustain available to them, but with the respawns. Oh, the hack comes in. Good. That's a good start here to kind of deny the Wrecking Ball entry.
And I like this from Mind Your Manners. They're playing back. They're waiting for the whole team to come in with the recontest. They don't want to take this in a 5v6. And that patience pays off. They've given over a tick that they're going to win out this team fight. And they're getting closer and closer to ultimates.
Aaron needs to stay alive here, and they are going to get the kill on tomorrow. So that's going to be the full reset here now from Avoided. Phil, in this next fight, we're talking about dueling coalescence. But what is going to be the factor that actually comes through? If they deny the coalescence with the hack or with the stun, then this is going to be, with the sleep dart, this is going to be good for Mind Your Manners. FaZe will also be able to build up this EMP in this fight. This can win them out. This can win them out the round.
Yeah, specifically the hack onto BaneOne Fan1 is huge, and then the anti over the top to stop the healing from the coalescence coming through. Sorry, the healing wasn't even from the coalescence, but the damage coming out from Cal is huge there. Focus is down 2, even as Aquamarine gets the pick onto Biz. Biz will be back because he's pretty quick with those translocators.
Yeah, and I mean, you use the coalescence there, and then that's it to win out the fight. In this next engagement, you're going to have the Nano Blade. That's going to be big. There's going to be the EMP as well, which can shut down quite a bit. And you've got the Primal Rage to sustain through. This is looking pretty good for Mind Your Manners here. And the Sleep Aim 1 as well.
It's such a good sleep. BaneOne Fan1 out of position for another couple of seconds at least. Picked now coming through in spades as Dented with the Nana just gets the triple. There's the pick onto BaneOne Fan1, and already over half of that starting time bank burnt off now for Mind Your Manners.
Did Morrow commit the Dragon Blade?
I believe he did.
Or did he switch off with it?
I think he pulled it out.
Oh man, I mean, they also commit the Gravitic Flux in a fight they'd lost. Avoided starting to feel the boom, it feels like.
Yeah, it's not disciplined. We see the minefield come out, and we've already lost 2 players. That clearly wasn't communicated well enough to him. Avoided looking for the hose down here, finds Starscream.
Starscream and Narnia there.
Yeah, not quite sure what he was going for there. And they absolutely needed that Graviton Surge. Morrow accidentally finds Blizz there. We'll deal with Pascal. And this is now looking like a cap here for Avoided. This has been so much time burnt off the clock for Mind Your Manners.
Manners gifted that away. They did not need to take that fight in any sort of scenario. And now we're looking at a place where Mind Your Manners is going to a 5th map. That is, the question is, are they going to go there ahead, or are they going to go there tied up? And Mind Your Manners has put themselves in a position they absolutely did not need to be. Here's the Riptide from Aquamarine.
We've seen how impactful these can be, but goes on a bit of a chase there, wants to get the pick onto Pear, and instead it's going to be a Pear that picks Aquamarine instead. So 5v6 looking like the potential for a hold here for Mind Your Manners as we approach the 1 minute mark. At the very least, Mora is starting to do damage here. He will be coming out of this with most of the Death Blossom, if not the fight win outright. He is going to back out, but not being allowed to.
I mean, this is actually a really bad place to be if you're avoided. You don't have enough here to start this next fight off at advantage. The Zarya Graviton Surge can deny you the contest, and the Dragon Blade with the Nano Boost is available as well. Things are going from bad to worse, and unfortunately for Avoided, there's no way to shut down the Dragon Blade this time around. The Riptire not available.
No, but they are closing it in on having the Death Blossom ready to go, but that's an early Graviton Surge out and Starscream deals with Zulex. Still starting to see picks come through in a very trading fashion here, LeVon. In fact, this is going to be 1-1 the entire way through. EMP out, is going to hit 2, gets Nolan, runs him down on that one. Looking like we might just see this go to a draw, which puts us in the potential for a 6-map series as Mind Your Manners get the kills they need to round that out. There's the hack, and no contest. That's a draw on Anubis. They don't call it draw Anubis for no reason.
I mean, Mind Your Manners, if I may say so, threw that one away. There's no reason for us to be going to a 6th map, or 5th map rather, in this particular scenario. Despite winning the fight, they all walked to the spawn. This is just a good combo here. But they all, I mean, all of Mind Your Manners walked to the spawn doors for some reason of Avoided and give up the map. They get the draw out, but I mean, unnecessary position to be in. Mind Your Manners going to a 5th map here. We are headed to Control. And Phil, I mean, it's been very competitive through the latter stages of this match. Still 2-1, actually, as we head into map number 5. But yeah, I mean, that Temple of Anubis defense is I think gonna come back to haunt Mind Your Manners just a bit.
Yeah, that's like Dante still seeing the C9 in his nightmares level of coming back to haunt you. So yeah, there is a real possibility that we go to a map 6 on this one because you know the map type where Avoided typically shine brightest has been Control, and we've got potentially 2 of those in a row. So if you are Mind Your Manners, you are now frantically looking at that scoreline and frantically wondering what more you can bring out in order to secure this win and move up to the grand finals.
Certainly. I mean, one thing. We'll see what the map selection is going to be here in just a moment. Looks like it is going to be Nepal for our 5th map here. I can't even say final map because it could very well not be.
Yeah.
But this is obviously Avoided's map pick, as they lost the most recent map, I believe.
Yep.
So that goes to them. And I mean, the 3 stages of Nepal, you've got Shrine, you've got Sanctum, and you've got Village. Looking at them initially, at first glance, I would say Nepal probably favors Avoided. But considering how Mind Your Manners has been playing around the Bastion, has been playing around the Junkrat, you know, the 2 different looks that Avoided is capable of bringing, Village starts to become a thing where it is starting to become one where I'm like, all right, Mind Your Manners might just have the edge. And then you look at Shrine, you're like, okay, you know, alongside the Elephant, there's some room here for Mind Your Manners to kind of bring that rotational gameplay, shut down, you know, the Junkrat and start to get value as well. So Mind Your Manners, I think, still has slight advantage, but giving up that Temple of Anubis defense is, I think, still going to haunt them at some point in the series.
Yeah, almost definitely. Worth noting, no substitutions coming through from Avoided. They're sticking with Morrow and Aquamarine as their offensive lineup here. Dyslexia and Bastion Main still warming the bench for now. And I agree with keeping the flexibility of Morrow in the lineup. He's proven that he can do a lot on this. Just kind of hoping that we don't see more Genji out of him because it's just not been working out for him.
Yeah, the Genji has been a creative pick, an inspirational pick from Morrow.
Here's a question. So we are playing on the live patch. How much do we think the nerfs to Genji have affected Morrow's ability to get that work done?
Did the patch? I don't think the patch went through yet. I believe there was a bug.
I thought it did.
I believe there was a bug with the patch. It was supposed to go through, so they canceled the thing. It's weird.
Interesting. Yeah. I thought I'd seen. In fact, even you complaining about Genji feeling kind of clunky now.
Well, I mean, I was playing on the experimental patch when that happened.
Okay, fine.
His right click, it's not very pleasant to use. It's weird because so just a quick aside on the Genji changes and why I personally don't like them. Genji needed a nerf. Make no mistake.
Yeah. Oh yeah, completely.
There's having a blade every fight and a half, sometimes every fight is, or sometimes twice within a fight is problematic.
Yeah.
I just don't like it when a character goes from being good in the neutral to just being an alt bot. And
Yeah.
it kind of feels that's the way that Genji's being pushed yet again. So I'm a little bit dismayed as to how they nerfed him. Not that they nerfed him, but how they approached it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Well, Lafon and I are going to go and continue our Genji meta discussion off camera. We're going to throw to a quick break while we wait for our guys to get back into lobby and ready to go. But again, don't go too far because as per usual, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Actually, back a little bit quicker than we thought we were going to be. Seems like Avoided and Mind Your Manners have got everything they need ready to go into what could be our last map. If Mind Your Manners win this out, they will be moving forward up into the grand finals of the Nocturnal GG Prospect Cup, brought to you by Elo Hell. And if Avoided win this one, and then the following map, that's going to be them going up to the grand finals. So, a lot to play for on this next round.
Yeah, I mean, Avoid at this point are trying to. They have 2 maps to play for that rematch against Regen. That was in the upper bracket. But I mean, we should highlight to our viewers at home, Phil, that this is not the expected scoreline so far.
No,
Avoided last time they met up with Mind Your Manners, it was a 3-0 for Avoided, and
It was
been a bit of a tail of a tape this time.
It was a complete shutout, and yeah, some of this is down to the fact that the roster for Avoided has changed over the course of the bracket. So, up until the point where the EU iteration of Avoided made contenders, the players were free to play pretty much wherever they like. But now that Avoided EU are in contenders, there's a lot of stuff they can't do, and so we have this separate NA Voided roster, which has a different look and a different feel to it. So this might be a less unique set of comps that we get from NA Avoided, so a little bit easier to deal with.
I might need this later.
And Morrow is going to the Torbjorn, speaking of easy to deal with. Not very much so. Biz is going to have to struggle around this Torb turret. But other than that, it's been a very standard composition that's been run out here by Mind Your Manners. Again, all really dependent on kind of dealing with that flanking pressure of the Wrecking Ball, who was hacked again.
Yeah, this adaptation from Mind Your Manners to throw in the Sombra as well is really just even more flies in the ointment for Day One Fan One, who has everything against him. You can see he kicks off the way that this is there with the action of this. Now, just tying up resources here, we'll push forward a little bit. To get Hammer Main just a little bit lower. Nobody opting for the point just yet. They want a couple more picks, but this has allowed Day One Fan One to get back into the mix here.
And I mean, this is the other thing too, is that Aquamarine is actually getting so much pressure on the front line here. with the Junkrat. The Torb and the Junkrat here are providing so much frontline damage onto the shields. Oh, Denthead almost gets pulled off the map, but he's okay.
Yeah, Dave's falling incredibly low there as well. He's back in the and Aquamarine, as you're saying, putting a lot of pressure in and finding a lot of value 7% of the way to the Riptire. It's going to be Hammond Main down first. Pascal pops the amplification matrix. Denthead combos with the Hulk. Hammond Main goes down. Bane 1, Fan 1 goes for a dive. And this is it. Early cap here for Mind Your Manners. And I say early, this fight's been going on for ages.
Yeah, I think it's like, what, that's a 40-second cap? Something like that? Bane 1 tries to use the pile driver to get back on the map, but misses it by just a fraction and instead goes spiraling into the abyss.
You hate to see it.
You truly do. And coming to this next engagement now, we were going to see the EMP. We're trying to open things up from Aquamarine, but... Oh, Nolan cross map.
Yeah, this is an interesting positioning there for Bane 1 Final. He's clearly looking for a run through here. There's the hack of the Hammond Main, but Blizz is pressured out. So back into cover. Transcends now to cover the damage coming through from the floods. Avoiding going to get the cap here as well. And with Aquamarine getting the pick onto Spears, this might be where it starts to stabilize. Multi-core onto the point is great, but for High Noon, the point to deal with Hammond Main is even better, and we're looking at the reflip now from Mind Your Manners.
I mean, there was just a very... It's almost like that as time has gone on, Mind Your Manners has evolved their game style. The mistakes that we were seeing from them in map number 1 on Control, instead, this time around, it's actually Avoided who are making them. They're slow, they're not willing to capitalize off their pickoffs, and are giving space to Mind Your Manners to re-enter. A lot of that is off the back that Bane 1, you can see him. He's just like searching desperately for the transportator.
Well, he couldn't find it, but Mora is able to take Biz out of the fight now that he's swapped over onto the Ash. A slightly more conventional pick here. Nice use there with the power driver to move up on a predictable arc for Moro to get the pick through. Might good out as well, but Bane 1, Fan 1, he just becomes the world's tenderest pinata and just gets knocked for 6.
And Denthead is going to play Kovacs here in the corner, but while that's happening, it's actually the Zen cross map Zulex who's going to get the value out of that. And I mean, this has been an absolute disaster of a team fight for Mind Your Manners. Biz gets left again.
Oh, that's such good work from Nolan to sweep the Soldier as well. Biz is closing in on having that EMP ready to go, but it's getting shut down so often that it's being really slow to make it happen. Aquamarine lays in the defensive measure, sends the Riptire around the back. They know where the tire is, but they can't shoot it just yet. It's at 23 health, and that's more than enough to deal with Pear. Now at 60% and climbing for Avoid.
This is now, I mean, we're going to be heading into equalization in terms of point control. Bane 1 gets out alive, and I think the biggest difference here is that for these fights have been going on like literal millimeters difference. Biz gets found out, but he's not going to be stunned away yet.
They know he's there. They're doing a bit of Sombra checking. He's going to have to take a little while. Maybe try and combo this with the High Noon. I think it's a difficult thing to combo, but obviously very hard to avoid the High Noon if you have this.
Zulex is actually just going... Oh,
that's actually pretty good value there. It slows things down. Again with the sweep from Nolan. He's not having a good time right now.
I heard a vicious rumor that Nolan only plays Moira, and apparently the Ana has come in clutch. Nolan is unequivocally the hero of this round. He slept Biz 3 times, preventing him from escaping, and all 3 times converted into a kill. And while Biz did a good job of forcing that Transcendence with the hack, getting slept there is just not, you cannot allow that to happen. So Nolan doing a great job of helping his team close out that round.
Yeah, man, seeing Nolan step up in such a big way on the Ana is like watching the main character of an anime ditch the weighted training gear of the Moira and step out with actually a pretty phenomenal performance on the Ana there.
So which would you rather have, Nolan in your backline or Nolan in his backline, but he has a sleep dart?
I mean, no disrespect to Nolan at all, but I just don't want Nolan in my games. Like, I've played against Avoided. Like, they're gonna trash me anyway. If he can avoid coming into my games to do it on the ladder, all the better. Different look here from both sides, with Mora starting off on Barry. Moving his foot away towards that barrage. Nolan punished for being such a good Ana in the last round, and a dominant showing here from Mind Your Manners as they push in on their first village.
And Viz is not having a good time on the Tracer, or on really any of the flanking characters at this point. Much cleaner engage, though, from Mind Your Manners as they close that round, or start this round off the right way with the point capture. And moving as a unit, they just get, team by team, they get good pickoffs. Avoided here, especially with Maro playing in the sky, he's going to have to be careful as he's got no support here. He doesn't have the Mercy Pocket, right? He has the Zen Aura, but it's not going to be nearly as good. And up against the McCree, if he's not careful, he can be two-tapped pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, and even at this range, Deadhead is doing consistent damage, and now it has a high nuke. It's unlikely to find picks, but it buys a lot of space, and it's going to find a pick as well. Aquamarine down early on. Huge amount of the damage for Avoided off the table, and we're probably going to see them take a little bit of time here to go for the contest. Yeah, I mean, we've got a couple of the points. We've got the tank stick. Won't get the kill, but a lot of damage in anyway. Looking for the hose down. And that's going to be Main chased away from it.
Oh god. Rexy Ball getting these many stuns is so sad.
That's really unfortunate. And like the nano moves almost completely wasted there because he was so stunned and so weak that he couldn't really do much with it. Moro's gonna have the barrage here, but again, there's so many things that can shut down this ultimate. There it is. It's into shield, it's into kinetic grasp, and he just gets stunned out of it. That's avoided. Might have found the opening. A couple of picks. Doesn't take Fan 1 down. Minefield is out. There's potential here for some accidental frags into the back of that. Melee kill onto Starscream, and we're looking at a flip here for Avoided.
Not a clean flip though, and there's still a possibility here as Moro's the one chasing down a frag. He's gonna get the supercharger perhaps? Not quite. Okay, so he does get taken down. That's gonna be the reset. They did force the trans out though for free. And now there's nothing to contest the Gravitic Flux other than a sleep dart here.
I mean, taking a lot of damage as he attempts to back his way out of that one. If you mind your manners, you're not too worried here. You've got a bit of time to make this work. It's only at like water damage to avoid it. And let's face it, you've got some tools to work with right now.
I mean, the bigger one here is that they have the Gravitic Flux here. If you're avoided, you have to dodge it because Nolan either has to play the hero or you just lose the round off the back of that.
Massive anti-out Nolan. But Nolan will follow a plan to make it work. At very least, they did get the immortality without, which means they won't be able to survive through this fire just using that. They've got to kill it or they've got to dodge it. Here comes the high ground, they back away, but they're not quicker than the motor propelled tire, and they go down. A fight win here for Avoided.
A fraction of a second too slow on the final shot by Deadhead, and the Rip Tire gets full value, and now we're actually in a pretty dangerous situation here if you mind your manners. You're close to getting shut out that second time 2-0 on Control. On the retake here, you need a heroic play here from someone, anyone.
Is there just taking a tickle on those bells? He wants to draw the retention, and Deadhead Hammond made a last second flick up there of the amplification matrix, doing wonders. Is able to find one with the pulse bomb. Babe one, fan one, overstays is welcome. Once more, it's going to be an advantage here for Avoided in terms of point captured, but Moro needs to come up in a big way with this barrage, and instead he's going to get flashed. He at least keeps the barrage, but the flip now comes through, and it's last fight territory.
I mean, this Gravitic Flux is going to need to be countered out by the Transcendence that's being built up. So, weirdly enough, that Trance versus Flux is not really a storyline that needed to be paid attention to, as it's going to be mirrored out here. But, I mean, it can make life difficult for the retake here. Minefield on the point, just to dissuade the contest.
Of course, there's nobody there actually contesting from Avoided on the minefield themselves at the minute, and it's going to be Starscream who gets the open pick, and it's looking like that minefield might have been all for nothing. They wanted to have the contest on the point. Is your point blank range into Pear and Cal? He's going to get Starscream here as well. Moro, with the absolute hero play, has come up in a massive way, and there's only a few % left on the point. There's no chance of a recontest here for Mind Your Manners.
Moro literally carrying that fight, and they're going to carry the map too. Avoided winning out Nepal. Phil, we are going to map number 6. Moro should not have been allowed to do that. What a spectacular play, though.
He was like almost inside the hitbox of both of those targets, and they just died instantly to the barrage, even getting one more on the barrage and a kill. massive play. And if that hadn't happened, there was no chance they would have got that. We would have been going to another sub map.
No, if Morrow had been even a quarter second, if Starscream had turned around, and we would have been in a different map entirely. We would have been in the third sub map. We would have gone to Village, or sorry, to Shrine. And I mean, Mind Your Manners are looking at this sixth map, and it's been, I think, 4 critical moments that has led them here. And they're looking at a defeat screen. They're looking, we said on Temple of Anubis that they were 1 defense away from closing out the series and going to grand finals. Here, they're a round away, like 4% away from closing out the series again, or closing out that stage to continue the map. And they just let their focus subside, and it costs them. So we are going to head to a 6th map, but Mind Your Manners has been given every opportunity to give themselves the win, and they keep disregarding that point, and it's hard to watch.
It really is, because they've put out some absolutely standout performances, and the way they've adapted into what Avoided are doing deserves all the plaudits in the world, because it's been very difficult for Avoided to find the way around, and to fall at the final couple of hurdles on their way through this must be devastating for these guys. They've got to be hoping for a win on our final map of tonight. Do you know what I've learned, Lafon, over the course of today's games?
Enlighten me, please.
It's that if I'm going to agree to do late night casting, I first need to check whether or not Avoided are in the lineup. So I've cast 2 back-to-back Avoided games tonight. The first one went to 5. This one's going to 6, and it is 3:30 in the morning for me. And
Lucky we don't get the 3rd in a row, because then Avoided would find some way to take it to 7.
Yeah, and look, I put out a thing on Twitter that said, like, Avoided need to learn what 3 and 0 means so that I can get some sleep. And part of me wonders, did they see that and just think it would be funny to take it for as far as they could on this? And they need to go and reflect on that, maybe.
I mean, I'm sure they thought it would be funny, but I think we have to give a lot of credit to Mind Your Manners as well for stepping up and performing as spectacularly as they have. And I've been incredibly critical of moments within Mind Your Manners gameplay, but ultimately, the fact that we're here at a 6th map means that they played very well in the maps that they won. And so my critique of them is not because I think they're doing poorly, but rather that they could have done better to close out the series faster. I think that's the thing I have to keep in mind here, is that when I had that critique of them on Temple of Anubis, it's not because they were bad. It was that they should have won, right? And I think here now, heading into the 6th map, I want to see more of the Mind Your Manners that won out Kings Row, that won out Junkertown. The understanding of how to shut down Avoided. And I think the one thing that's been kind of a difference is that Baemon, despite being stunned up so much on Nepal, was still able to take a lot and create a lot of space. And that has been the difference maker. Wrecking Ball gets space. When Wrecking Ball creates space, Avoided does well. When he doesn't, that's when Mind Your Manners is able to kind of step forward and really show what they're capable of.
Yeah, I think we're still waiting for our teams to decide what the final map set is going to be. So we've already seen Busan and Nepal, and whilst we figure out where we're going next, we're going to take a very quick break. But tune in for the thrilling conclusion of Avoided versus Mind Your Manners. 5 maps played, 4 points scored, and it all comes down to this one final map. We're going to Lijiang Tower next in Avoided against Mind Your Manners. And whoever wins this one will be going forward into that grand finals. Whoever loses will be stopping here at 3rd place in the tournament. Still with you after all this time, it's me, Big Hungry Phil, with my co-caster LaFon to bring you this last little slither of the action.
It's been a spectacular series so far, Phil. I mean, spectacular back-to-back series we've had here today. If you haven't watched the games, do yourself a favor. And when the series is done, go back and watch it because it's been some exciting Overwatch. And I mean, Control, we are guaranteed a winner here, Phil, for sure. Desperately, absolutely.
If there's any team that can find a way to draw a Control map, it's Avoided. It's not been done before, but I believe these guys have the skill.
Yeah, I mean, they could technically keep us here for quite some time. That's all a possibility. Just the overtime contest forever. But heading into the map now, Lijiang Tower. I mean, it's been a tale. It's been a tale of a wrecking ball told 2 ways. I think is how this series has gone down. Wrecking ball doing well. It's been avoided. The wrecking ball being shut down. It's been Mind Your Manners. And so, Lijiang Tower. I think it's going to have to be more of the same here if you are. On your Mind Your Manners side, he's got to shut down BAME1 Fan1 if you want to keep this series in your favor.
And there's something oddly poetic about your team living and dying on the performance of a hamster in a ball. And for Avoided, that is exactly the case. Looks like we're getting a slightly different look here from Mind Your Manners, though. Biz going to be playing the McCree this time.
Yeah. They're actually keeping the Symmetra. It's a back-to-back teleport, and they get everyone to point, I think.
Looks like it, and this is great for them on the defense because they can just spam up these chokes and find a pick onto Aquamarine. So they're looking to win out this one already. Nice shield trade there with Starscream sending it out to interrupt the abilities coming through. It's going to be down to Morrow here on the outside to spam it and try and find some charge in the Barrage.
Yeah, but now he's gets spotted out by Mind McCree and Biz. Sends him into the abyss.
That was a nice little run through by BAME1, who is now most of the way to having minefields already. The point's only at 10%, but Mind Your Manners still in control and finding frags.
Nolan comes in with the kill onto Denthead, and the way this all starts off actually is pretty interesting. Cal starts off on the Lucio, right? And what that allows is that you get the teleporter in quicker, so you get to point faster, and that's how all this starts up. And huge credit to Mind Your Manners for reading the engage. Mara going to switch over to the Tracer here, but this is arguably harder to do than the Pharah was.
Yeah, almost definitely. And of course, a reasonable amount of that overcharge now is over, but he's able to find an early hit here. High Noon comes out, but it finds shields, and it finds kinetic grass. It doesn't find the skill markers it was looking for. We've got a nano boosted Tracer here in the form of Morrow, mostly causing a distraction here as BAME Fan1 and Aquamarine do the real heavy lifting of this fight.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a very, Cal's wishing, I think 3%, that could have been a very different fight. But, I mean, ultimately, there's going to be one real push here. They're coming into the Riptire of Aquamarine. So this can, I mean, the Riptire can shut things down pretty easily. And if you are Avoided, you have to win this fight out cleanly, I think. You can cycle, if you can cycle the Riptire into a fight win and then use the window to win the next one, there's tools to be worked at here. But Mind Your Manners trying to close this one out right now.
Oh, we're getting an aggressive sound barrier here from Cal. It's not... You know what? It just lasted long enough to secure the win against that Riptire. That's really unfortunate for Aquamarine, but this has been a great pushback in from Mind Your Manners. It only cost them, I think, 2 ults that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's still pretty good, actually. They commit the Supercharge, Kinetic Flux, Sound Barrier. It's a 3. But, I mean, they build enough time, and they get a pick off here onto Zulex. This is looking good for Mind Your Manners. They're up now close to that last fight territory.
Oh, that's unfortunate, though. Starscream takes the business end of a sleep dart, and then the even more serious business end of the mine, and goes down. Once more than I boosted Tracer here for Morrow. Looking like we might see the cap come through here, despite that high noon coming out. The last second flick there will catch Morrow in it, but that might be enough here for Avoided to secure the reflip. We'll see a couple of tags in, but at 99 to 38, you don't mind giving this up as anyone.
Yeah. You actually kind of want to die here in with the point head being flipped. I think if you're pair, you wanted that you wanted to die with that flip having already occurred because you would have had a faster respawn. As it is, pair and Starscream are going to respawn about the same time. Coming into this next fight, are we going to see any switches from Cal, who I think the opening with the Lucio was good, but has not provided nearly as much value in this main support as you kind of want later on in this fight. And the double hit scan, I think, is going to find some value. They're walking in, no room down.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a really early opener. This is the Minefield and the Riptide are both committed here. He's in over the top. It's looking for tanks. It's only going to find Shield. And in the meantime, that's a heck of a lot of kills for Mind Your Manners. And they flip it right back round again. And this is probably it for them on this submap. Don't think there's even a Wrecking Ball there to contest.
Perfect. Yeah, we've got round one done. And now Mind Your Manners one map away. The question is, what is the map type we're going to? If this is Garden, actually thinking of it, whether it's Garden or Control Center, I just have to give the edge to Mind Your Manners. This map, so we are going to head to Garden, but with how the shutdown has been on Bane 1 Fan 1, this has been, I think, the next two sub maps are still going to look really good for Mind Your Manners.
It's interesting now that we've got a fairly big comp swap here for Mind Your Manners, if this is what they're going to be running out on. I think like the dive is maybe that little bit less stable and it's kind of harder to pounce the target here. So I don't know how I feel about this because you also lose the ability to shut down the Wrecking Ball.
That being said, this is the composition that Regen used, or a very similar composition to that Regen used to shut out Avoided on this map as well.
True.
So that is an element. If you can dodge the hook here from Hammond Bane, certainly some very real tools here to kind of close out the dive onto the backline and take control of the point. The hook?
Almost got it. Almost got the hook environmental kill. Didn't quite come off. The positioning for Aquamarine on the point is taking a bit of flack there for Moira Orb. It's going to be more than the first pick. Hack's going to come through, but no real way for Blizz to capitalize on that, as we did see them rotate around the corner and avoid incoming flash damage. Still a very trady fight here. A little hard to see how this one is going to go. Everyone's going to get brought back in, and as Zulex finds the pick on the cow, that's where the balance really switches around, and it's going to be avoided with the first cap here, almost certain.
Yeah, and I have to say that the Tracer Sombra needs to get in the backline and get more value out of their pickoff potential. Biz needs to hack more viable targets. So far, he hacked the Roadhog after he had committed to his take a breather. After it had been completed, so there's that pickoff they need. Aquamarine down.
Nice entry frag, but as Zulux is able to get the equalizer and take Biz out again, maybe not flipping quite the way you'd have liked it. And I mean, just frag for frag, it makes it very difficult to predict exactly who's going to win out there. You've got to assume it favors the defense, and as Morrow brings out the barrage and deals with pair, that's going to be another hold here for Avoided as they round the 40% mark.
And this is, I mean, if you're Mind Your Manners, you need to get more value out of these consistent pickoffs. Biz has not gotten up to the EMP yet. And if you're not going to get these frags, if you're not going to get these assassinations, you need to start getting value by farming your ultimate. Link down barrier after the pick.
Yeah, man, that is such a misplay. I wonder if that just signifies that Cowhat is swapping here and realizes that he needs to swap. No, he's sticking with it. No, there we go. Swapped over onto the end.
I mean, Liana is such a risky play, though, into a Pharah Mercy combo when you have no peel. Starscream has to, by necessity, play up very aggressively.
Oh,
How does Biz get that kill?
I don't know, but Blizz has had this EMP for such a long time now, and he just never gets the chance to use it. It's down to the final strokes here. 85% of the point cap for Avoided. Mind Your Manners, they've got the potential here for an EMP bomb combo, but honestly, in the enclosed space like this, it's a little hard to make it work. They're going to see the Transcendence taken offline here. Riptide going to land a little bit outside of range there, but it does secure the OT pick. Pair and Starscream able to get a couple of picks here, and they get the flip. It's 99 to 1. They've got to play this perfect for the rest of the round to win out the series here.
Moro.
Oh, Moro.
That actually, so the funny thing about that kill is that as Deadhead blinked in to Moro to try and get the kill, the damage was enough that the self-damage from the splash that killed the Tracer was enough to kill the Pharah.
Yeah.
Little cute play there. But, optimal battle for sure. At least they still have the EMP.
What? How in the heck did... Oh, out comes the EMP, but it wasn't enough to shut down the Transcendence, which means that EMP that Fizz has been holding on to for the better part of 2 minutes found nothing of value. Denthead's got a pulse bomb here, but it needs to come out big. Ooh, just able to retreat into safety. Rewind. We'll see the self-destruct kill, find Babe on fan one, but Moro's going to be brought back in the fight here by Nolan. They still don't have control of the point, so this is avoiding trying to stay in this whilst Capture Progress is picking up from Mind Your Manners. So Mind Your Manners probably quite happy this fight's going on as long as it's going.
Yeah, no, this is good for Mind Your Manners in the sense that it's building time on the board, but this next fight, they don't build enough in terms of resources, right? They don't have anything to turn the tide in this next fight. They're late on the Sound Barrier, they're late on the Coalescence.
Oh, this is such good bodyguarding there for Aquamarine. Between the Riptire and the Roadhog next to him, there was no way that this could get anything done. And now they've got a 2-man advantage, a 3-man advantage. Make that a 4-man advantage as Moro tracks them all down and summarily deals with them. Looking to see the flip coming through here just as soon as we can deal with Cal, who, with a handful of HP, vacates the points.
93%, that's what they're working with. They need to get onto the point, contest the overtime to get the kill.
Yeah, that's going to be Moro taken out by his own rocket here. And we have now got the answering Wrecking Ball and Pair on the point to try and keep this going that little bit longer. But he's not in a numbers favorable fight here for himself, which means that he's very likely going to be, well, you know, hooked and summarily dealt with. EMP is going to hit too. There's just nobody there to do the follow-up blip.
Cal gets taken down with his Sound Barrier being committed. It is going to be the last round of the series to decide it all.
Well,
I mean, there's no other way.
No, there's no other way this could have ended. A draw, 6 maps, and the final sub-map on the final possible map. Both of these teams want this so much, and they're throwing everything at this, and it's going to come down to one final round here.
I think this is now where you can go back to the stun composition that you were running, though, if you are Mind Your Manners, Phil, right?
Looking like
This is the composition that'll make sense. Cal, is he gonna stick on the Lucio? No, okay,
No,
good. Good, because BAME 1, Fan 1, if you can shut it down and make that a 5-6, make this a 5v6, this is where success has been given for Mind Your Manners.
By
So much damage in the entry.
by not opting to run the Symmetra, they lose that early advantage at the point. So far, it's not particularly affected them too much. They're in a position now to take this fight to the top of the stairs, as we see Avoided take the low ground here. Okay, trying to pepper some damage down the right-hand side there, and maybe doing this damage to secure a pick from one of his mob first. Can't find it, instead rotating now his point. There's the first pick, Babe 1, Fan 1, getting punished exactly what you want to see here if your Mind Your Manners. And now they've got to snowball that 1-man advantage into a 4-man advantage and eventually win out the point. That's the flip, and they've got the picks massively in their favor.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, this is what we said. When I thought about it, Control Center makes sense to be favored for Mind Your Manners. As a reminder, the Wrecking Ball gets so little value into the stuns that is being run, and there's 3 of them available here for Mind Your Manners. It's another switch through as Moro goes to the Mei, trying to section off the tanks, but they're not really getting punished so far.
No, now with the changes through to the wall where you can just get through one section, they're able to very quickly get out of the way of that. But that's a massive retreat from Aquamarine, dealing with 2, finding the 3rd with the concussive mine at the back end as well, and just blind firing into the morass, finding the damage, finding the pick, doing so much to open this up for the team. That's Pair down as well, all on the back of Aquamarine.
Yeah, Aquamarine's Riptires have really been, when they pop off, they get 3 or more, and they're two. It's effectively 3 kills as he takes down Biz to 1 HP, cleans him out as well. So that was still a very expensive fight, however, for Avoided, as they are coming only onto the Wrecking Ball's ultimate in the minefield, as well as the sound barrier. A good wall to deny the entry, actually, but I don't think they can take advantage of it.
Supposed to. I kind of thought Bane 1 Fan 1 was going to go for the big knockoff there, but despite it, Starscream with a massive entry frag. Denhead looking for something on the second. The body damage there for Hammond. They need to go down to Starscream in this one. Numbers advantage again for Mind Your Manners, and they're in a position here to flip.
And I mean, that's a very clean fight. You just use the, what was it, the Gravitic Flux and the High Noon.
Yep.
And I mean, you still have the Riptire to just pressure out. That being said, Aquamarine has his second Riptire to Biz's first. You can obviously see the experiential difference there. So the Junkrat on the high ground.
Oh, nice swing through Pile Driver Minefield combo. Deals with Pascal. We're going to see Biz deal with Aquamarine's Riptire here, so that did not find the value with it, really. However, starting to see a couple of trades back and forth here. Cal's going to find Aquamarine, but Nolan comes in with the glowing beam of death and just lasers down Mind Your Manners, who are at 84%. If they win one more fight and hold it for a little while, this is their series.
There is one thing here to say, is that Avoided has the Blizzard. Realistically, this fight should be avoided. If Moro can land the Blizzard, if the Gravitic, if it doesn't, means that there is still room.
It's stunned out of it! Stunned out of it! What? Absolutely abysmal look there from Moro. It's going to be down to the Gravitic Flux to really round this out for them. They've got one kick already, Dented is down, the Immortality Field is down, and they are able to press the advantage. That could very nearly go so badly wrong for Avoided.
Such an expensive fight for Avoided, though. You needed that Blizzard to get value, and with that not being the case, you now have a situation where walking in, there's a counter Gravitic Flux, there's going to be the Supercharger. Bane 1, I think, needs to section out this map. We are heading into this last fight territory, early Supercharger for Mind Your
Big
Manners.
wall, the minefield as well, and in all the chaos, we see a couple of people launched up into it. Then Head's able to find Bane 1 Fan 1 here, and he has the High Noon. He's ready to chase it. His team are there with him, and now he can press forward. He's looking for the angle here. He's looking for headshots. He's looking for somewhere safe to throw this High Noon. Biz is going to start things off with the Riptire, and he takes out Aquamarine's Riptire here as well as Hammond Mate. Now the cards are starting to stack in favor of Mind Your Manners. There are no ults left here for Avoided. They're 2 men down. They're at 99%. The flip is now through. They're going to get one more go at this, LaFon.
There is a chance at redemption here for Morrow on the Mei. If he can land this one down, this can be Avoided trying to close out the series, but they're walking into the Deadeye. They're walking into damage. Bane 1 gets the contest. Phil, time is running out.
How's it out? And it finds absolutely nothing. There are no ults left on the board. The Blizzard gets eaten this time. That's 2 and 0 for Morrow. That's got to be so mold-making. That's horrific. Starscream's low. He's going to have to pop the kinetic grass just to keep himself that little bit healthy. And in the fight with the kills now, they're starting to rack up for Mind Your Manners. They're in overtime. They're at 99 to 99. And there's nothing left from Avoided. And against all odds, after 6 maps, Mind Your Manners come through. And they're going to the grand finals.
Scream, the hero of that last fight. Never mind the kill feed. Biz popping off with the Junkrat. The denial on that Blizzard is key to closing out this series, and it was quite literally one play difference between Avoided taking the map and the way that Mind Your Manners closed it out. From 0-3 against Avoided in the first round of the playoffs through the lower bracket, they take the victory here, Phil, in a 6 maps, 3-2, and they are headed to the grand finals. Take a bow, Mind Your Manners. That was spectacular.
It's a real Cinderella story from a team that was coming this as a number 4th seed with a slightly wonky run through the bracket to get your redemption against the team that sent you into the lower bracket in the first place and have a chance at that first place tomorrow. That's a real phenomenal story. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what Mind Your Manners mental's like at, because it's got to be absolutely soaring.
Yeah, it's a real question here. As I mean, hey, what a game though, Phil. What a game.
Oh, yeah.
That was just something else.
Yeah, I mean, look, it might be nearly 4 in the morning here, but you couldn't have asked for a more compelling set of games this evening. It's been genuinely a real joy to watch.
Phil, I have no real words to kind of close this one out because
No.
everything I've said through the series has continued onwards, and everything has been told. I think here, Mind Your Manners still have their work cut out for them. They will face Regen in the grand finals. That's not done yet.
No.
Prospect Cup still continues.
That's right. One more match still to go. Tune in for the grand finals live tomorrow on Elo Hell. We're going to bring you all of that action and more. But for myself and for the fun and everybody working here behind the scenes to bring the action to you, that's going to be good night, or in my case, good morning, and we'll see you next time.